First stage, 80 laps. Beautiful sunny day. It's warm. You know that from being down on the grid.
That's what I was going to say. First stage, 80 laps. First corner, slippery. We've seen big moments right away at this race. I have my eyes peeled right away, Diff, to see what could happen.
It's an event. It's part of the whole championship. It's in the midst of the playoffs. 30 races down, 6 races to go. This is the Hollywood Casino 400. Whose day is it going to be today in Kansas? Let's find out. Larson on the jump early. Briscoe leads them in. But look on the low line, that blue and white 5HendrickCars.com Chevy for Kyle Larson, desperately searching for victory.
You can already see, even on the first lap, drivers running all over the racetrack, the bottom, the middle, the top. Look at Reddick and that 45 car flying in the third lane.
3 wide with Elliott up high. In the middle is Hocevar and Christopher Bell down low. He's on the apron.
Reddick's good corner is going to help the 9 with a push down the straightaway. 3 wide, 2x2. Reddick, you see how he has to give up the entry. There are the cars you guys mentioned during the lineup that had to come to pit road. The 88 of SVG, the 71 of McDowell, a stop and go.
I mentioned when we were going through the starting grid, Carson Hocevar was the highest placed non-playoff driver, and he's already moved his way up, hassling for that 4th position. Hamlin's got by Larson, and now Hamlin is pressuring his JGR teammate for the lead.
Denny Hamlin had a really good center, 3 and 4. Exited the corner with a lot of speed. This is where the pass is going to get difficult. Trying to get underneath somebody on the exit of these corners, it's just hard to carry as much speed as you can on the high side. Watch Denny Hamlin. He's going to run the middle of the racetrack now. Try to turn a little bit down the racetrack coming off the corner.
Jeff, you have to be careful. You and I have seen this. If you run a groove lower like Denny Hamlin, he'll do it again right here. Everything's great, but somewhere at corner exit, you have to blend in that weight of the 19, and it seems very late off the corner off turn 2, but off turn 4, cars have spun out that far around the corner.
Look at the speed that the 11 has on corner entry. He really is able to make ground on Briscoe. Briscoe's running a steady line, running that about 3/4 of the way up the racetrack.
Toyota on board gives us a couple of Toyotas battling at the front. Briscoe felt confident. Last weekend in New Hampshire, when he was buried in the pack and crew chief James Small made that 2-tire call that dragged him up towards the front, was a pivotal moment. That gave the team a big morale boost as his teammate gets ever so close to his rear there.
He almost got to that left rear quarter panel. That's what you're trying to do. You get to the left rear quarter panel. That actually slows the car on the outside down. He just couldn't quite get there, Steve.
Yeah, the bottom dominant in 1, or excuse me, the top is dominant in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, it seems like there's that middle lane. You mentioned that left rear slowing down the lead car. We've also seen that it tightens the car up. Oh, here we go. Now Briscoe is giving the top lane to the 11. I think he had to do that. He thought he lost ground a lap ago. Now the 11's going to have momentum.
Yeah, this has brought Larson into the fight as well.
Denny Hamlin, who has been in the headlines this week, more so than normal because of the confrontation with his teammate Ty Gibbs last week in New Hampshire. Controversial moment, a lot of heated words, and there was a behind closed doors meeting at JGR headquarters.
I think a big part of that frustration, to be quite honest, is that they were running 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah.
I just think that this is what Joe Gibbs Racing expects, to run to the front. And I actually think the drivers understand how to race each other at the front. I think the whole point of frustration out of the 11, Marty, was that he was racing Ty Gibbs outside the top 10 last week.
Yeah, and that certainly was a factor in it, Steve, no question. Denny Hamlin has 4 Kansas wins, more than anyone here. But he told me earlier this week, honestly, as Kyle Larson looks to grab second there, he said, we should have had more wins here at Kansas. We've had so many mechanical issues here at this track. One of those was in the spring, Steve, and Chris Gale told me this morning, we had such a good long-run car in this speed, but we really focused on the short-run speed in this 11, and it's shown up here today, battling for the lead, and there's battles everywhere on the track here right now for the top 3 and further back in the field as well.
That's pretty interesting. 2 different ways of looking at it. The 11 of Hamlin focusing on short run speed. His teammate Christopher Bell feels like they could have won races, but because they didn't have enough long run speed, they didn't win. So both teams looking at their past experiences trying to be better moving forward.
There's William Byron, who sits in the 10th position. Speaking of sitting nicely in the top 10, again, Tyler Reddick started outside the top 10 in 12th and has driven his way very swiftly to 5th. So a super start by the 45.
Cars spread all over, bottom, middle, top. At bottom left, you see Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher. So now what Bowman does right here, he kind of backs up, tries to pick up the throttle. On the bottom right, you see Joey and SVG racing. Remember that 88 is a lap down. The 88's actually racing the 71 in front, that yellow roofed Gainbridge car, the 71 in McDowell. Him and the 88 both had to do the stop and go, both a lap down. They're racing for position of the free pass if a yellow does come out.
Logano and Blaney have made up 4 positions from starting at the back. Austin Cindric has made up 3. It's going to be a long day, but we've got plenty of time. 10 laps into this first stage of 80 laps.
I would say that the 22 of Logano, they probably don't feel like they have a lot of time, right? Starting that far back, they need stage points, right? They found a way at New Hampshire, did a good job of getting a lot of points there, but Joey Logano, it's going to be very difficult to get stage points in this first stage unless they get a lucky caution, Dave. So right now, they're focusing on how do we get stage points in the second stage and also get a good finish.
And Jeff, that was part of Paul Wolf's concern when I talked to him this morning, trying to stay ahead of the leader as they come back to the back part of this field, gain ground as they can. Now at lap 5, crew chief wanted a little bit of an update on the balance from Joey Logano, and he said, not sure yet. Jeff, I don't know how long it takes you to get a feel for what you truly have, but after only 5 laps, Joey didn't know.
Yeah, it's a little difficult when you first drop the green flag and everybody is completely bunched up because there's so much aero issues. There's no air pushing your car down, making downforce. So you need everybody to get spread out a little bit like they are now before you can really understand what you have. And on top of that, Steve, the track is the absolute worst when the green flag drops.
Yeah.
It's dirty, it's hot, it's slick, there's no rubber on it. So those first few laps, and even this first run sometimes can fool you.
Chase Briscoe had never led a lap in Cup Series competition here at Kansas Speedway until today. Now he's led 13. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Kansas Speedway, presented by Valvoline on a warm Sunday afternoon. And things are getting hotter for race leader Chase Briscoe because Denny Hamlin is all over him. Toyota on board. Let's take a ride, have a listen.
Still one lane. A minute to him here, half. Inside. Inside. Just shooting. Yep, by 12 to the 5 here. Sure you leave some ability to turn. Don't let him stall you leaving here.
Yeah, so Denny Hamlin's just faster. You know, he was on Briscoe's rear bumper a lot in that first stage, into that first part of this run. It just took him a little while to make this pass. Barney.
Good to hear Chris Lambert, the spotter for Denny Hamlin, call that pass for the lead. It's interesting. Chase Briscoe, we were right on board with him with the Toyota onboard camera. He said it, quote, sits down on the left rear in the middle of the corner and then kicks out on corner exit. So struggling with a loose race car, Kim.
Well, yesterday, Bubba Wallace got out of the car after practice happy. They said it was a solid, good day. He qualified in the 7th position, but it's been a free fall since the green flag. Now runs in the 16th position. It is a totally different story today. Listen to Bubba's radio.
Gosh. 10-4. You manage it best you can.
So again, Bubba not happy with that car. He said it's plowing. He cannot hit his marks from yesterday is what he told the team.
Yeah, so when he says he can't hit his marks, what a race car driver tries to do is he picks point on the racetrack, and he wants to put his left front tire or his right front tire at that point, carrying a certain amount of speed. And when your car drives well, Steve, you can carry the speed you want. You can put the car exactly where you want at that speed, and it turns, it rotates, the rear tires hook up. But when the car isn't handling, you no longer can do that. You have to start making compromises as a driver. And of course, with that, speed comes out of it. But you have no choice. You just don't have the grip you're looking for.
And one of the struggles Bubba has is up the road. There's 3 or 4 cars kind of stacking up all the air on the top of the screen. You see Larson has now run Briscoe down for second. So now 19 knows they have a good car, but not good enough. They're going to have to make adjustments. I expect the first wave of green flag cars about 9 or 10 laps away. The longer guys might run 40 laps, but I think if you're gambling, you're going to come in the mid to early 30s. Now, the challenge for the Penske cars all the way at the back is if they decide to come on the front side, the risk is they'll be 2 laps down to the leaders that haven't pit yet. So they have to be a little bit more sensitive than normal on when they come to green flag just because you're running outside the top 20.
Speaking of Ford cars, Ford-powered teams, the highest place Ford is Chris Buescher in 14th. Here's Ty Gibbs and Kansas winner Ross Chastain, who won the Coke 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway on 1.5 miles. Loved it. I asked him earlier today, I said, that was such an epic victory. You're coming from last to first. I said, when did you know in that race that you could actually do it? And he said, within the first 5 laps of practice. I said, come on. He said, really? That car was magic. And he said, even though I had a crash, he said, I knew that we could do something special. But let's talk about the driver ahead of him with Dave Burns. Dave?
In the red and white 54, that is Ty Gibbs, asking Tyler Allen about their yesterday, which was a qualifying of 8th, but a practice of 19th. They said, yeah, we were good on our adjustments, smiling, proud of what they did there. And then the driver hit all of his marks. Do you understand the new tire combination was my next question. And he said, yeah, it pretty much did what we expected it to do, and so that translation, they hope they can put it today. Remember, managing these tire sets, getting the right inflation, getting everything just perfect for the driver helps the handling so much when you nail it.
As complicated as these race vehicles are, there's only 4 things that touch the ground, right? Those 4 Goodyear tires, and when a change is made, whether it's for durability, performance, sometimes just for production, you know, that throws your setup, your aerodynamic balance, everything just kind of into a tailspin. Because when I talk to every engineer, every crew chief in the garage, the tire data, the information provided to these teams that run through the sim, that's still the black magic. It's the organization that figures that out the quickest that seems to have the most success.
And those challenges that you talk about create opportunities. So we spend a lot of time focusing on the playoff drivers, but 2 drivers having good starts to this race. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47 car, Noah Gregson in the 4 car. You know, you talked about new tires, you talked about air pressure, you talked about all those struggles. Well, with that becomes the ability for newer teams, younger teams, smaller teams rather, to try something different. And sometimes that stuff works, and you're seeing that with these two teams right here.
In the last handful of races, Noah Gregson's had a 14th and a 16th. Last weekend, he ran well as well. Hamlin leads the way.
And we are back at Kansas Speedway. Green flag stops underway. First of the cars on pit road. Bubba Wallace, remember, plowing tight. Couldn't hit his marks from yesterday. They take fresh tires, small adjustment, and fuel.
Went from 7th to 19th on that opening run. That was frustrating.
Well, that's more reason to be on the front side of the pit stop. If you feel like you're losing time, even to the cars in the same tire, come get adjustments. Cindric with an aggressive call to come early, running near the back, Dave.
But picking up spots, Steve. 14 spots picked up since the green flag fell this afternoon. So the driver gets 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel here. Good stop for the 2 team.
Great look, too. That's how I'm used to looking at pit stops. That overhead just shows you the choreography from right to left. Pit road entry is going to be busy as we look at the top of the screen into sight. Here they come. You have the 7, the 47 of Stenhouse, the 7 of Haley, 22 of Logano, the Penske teammate to Cindric, also on pit road, Dave.
So Logano said that his car was free into the corner before it loaded up. So as it's getting ready to squat down, there's that look you like, Steve, into the corner, just a little bit too loose for Logano. So they'll make adjustments here.
Just shows you the choreography between the fueler and the rear tire changer, what the priority is. Now we're on board with Reddick, running at pit road speed, coming down to the service of his crew, the 9 in, Kim.
Yeah, and for Tyler Reddick, he made quick work of track position on the green, hitting from the 5th position after starting 12th. He just said, I was getting tight, especially to start the run as they put on those fresh tires, Sunoco fuel. You see Christopher Bell on the bottom of your screen. He said slightly snug, but he thinks it's okay on the long run. Exit of 4 was the worst for the tightness, but then towards the end of that run said balance is good. Marty?
You see Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe coming down pit road all the way at the very back end of pit road. For Kyle Larson, he said, the car is good, but I just was so aero sensitive once I got up behind those two Gibbs cars. He wound up second when he was coming to pit road. Chase Briscoe said, I was really way too free, especially turns 3 and 4, and had a small vibration at the end of the run. What a great look at that #1 pit stall, Dave.
William Byron on and off the pit road, 4 tires for him. He told his crew just before he pitted the 24 car, I'm pretty decent here, so a good opening run for William Byron.
You may have noticed during that last break in non-stop that Kyle Larson got his way back by Briscoe, and he's easily beaten him off pit road. Here comes Hamlin, Marty.
Yeah, once he got the lead, he wound up leading 18 laps before he came to pit road. He said the car was just a little bit too edgy once he got out front, but that was his only complaint when he was in traffic. It was very good. Remember, Hamlin has a new front tire changer and a new jack man this weekend because of the suspension of his normal tire changer and jack man after the tire came off at Bristol. That was a clean stop, though, for the 11.
Let's see if the 11 can hold the lead. He had about a 2.5-second lead, but chose to run long. The 5 of Larson on board. There's Hamlin slipping, sliding, trying to get power down off pit road. Momentum 5. Will he take it? Nothing the 11 can do. It'll be a lead change on pit road. 5 of Larson, when the cycle finishes, will be the leader if he can hold off the 11.
We'll see if Denny Hamlin with these newer tires, though, 1 lap newer. Let's see if he can get the lead back in these next few corners.
On the left-hand side, Barry, Blaney, Kez, Suarez, Gilliland, Dillon, all yet to pit. Trying to save a lap, really, is what a group of these guys do. You run long, Diff, and that way if you catch a yellow, you're looking great. Or you just run the lap 40. The math says 40-40. Split 80 up down the middle.
Kyle Larson got quite the treat on Friday when he got to visit with Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and others, and said he was blown away by the workload and just how they structure things. And he said we all sit at home and watch the NFL as we go on board with Chase Briscoe pretty close here.
Oh, the 9 with a big slide up in front of 45.
Into 45.
So well done by Chase. It's just got to shut that air off to the 45. This is how much a green flag cycle can really just, you know, mess it all up. The 5 and the 11 continue to battle up ahead. You see him off the roof of the 19. Now the 12 of Blaney on pit road.
Jonathan Asler making the call, Steve, to run a little bit longer in this stage here. One of the last cars to come to pit road. I would describe this progress from the back in this backup car as slow and methodical. Blaney's only complaint, a little bit too free, especially at the end of the run.
Top box as Denny Hamlin starts to close in on Kyle Larson. Yesterday, Hamlin described the last mile and a half at Charlotte Motor Speedway as wildly entertaining and said we're going to see more of that today.
And I really think if you're a crew chief, you need to take note of what happened to the 11 of Hamlin. He easily had the lead, 2.5 seconds. You see on the bottom left, the 11 had a little bit slower total time. Not bad, 3/4 of a second. But you add that in with 1 lap fresher tires on Larson, that's about a 2 or 2.5 second advantage. So now your 2.5 second lead is gone, and it's not just time, it's track position. Now the 5 can play defense. The 11 is going to work by right here, Jeff, but definitely take some life out of the tires trying to do it.
Side-by-side battle for the lead. 3 wide for third.
Chase Elliott in the middle, Tyler Reddick down low in the 45, and Chase Briscoe, and here comes Christopher Bell. Bell's arrived on the scene, super swift, and he wants part of this fight as well.
Remember this whole time, Brad Keselowski on the upper left continuing to lead. You see him on the pylon.
Look at this battle. Christopher Bell trying to make the middle work.
Well, Denny's words are ringing true. There's racing everywhere. Wow. And Reddick on the inside of Chase Briscoe.
Briscoe is known as a driver that likes to run the top. That's where Chase is, so Tyler's only choice is to try to run the bottom. Let's see what he does in 3 and 4. Kind of the middle of the racetrack. Bell goes all the way to the bottom. Chase Elliott to the wall.
Still waiting on Brad Keselowski to come down pit road as he ostensibly leads this race, but is yet to pit. So behind him, it's Hamlin, Larson, Briscoe, Reddick, Bell, and Chase Elliott. First non-playoff driver, Carson Hocevar. Here comes Keselowski finally, Kim.
Yeah, Jeremy Boland's the crew chief, keeping his driver out long. No major complaints, especially relative to the field. Brad just saying tight center was his biggest problem, but entry and exit, he said, we're good. I don't want big changes on the 6.
See the 20 car Bell. Really interested to see what he has, if he can ever get by Reddick. I thought he, in practice yesterday, certainly had one of the best cars. My conversation with him this morning, he felt really good about it. But again, a little different look from them this week in regard to, let's work on long run speed. Let's see if we can get a win with a little different philosophy. He drives in the corner, just is able to clear Reddick. Now Reddick going to try to turn back underneath him, but I don't think he has the pace to do it. See the hand out the window from Christopher. Thanks for racing me clean.
Great view with thanks to Xfinity Mobile. Tyler Reddick is having the day that he needs because he's in such a tough points position. Below that cut line is a win on the line. Well, that's exactly what Denny Hamlin's thinking. Driving the 11, and as we dig deeper, it is the most successful number in NASCAR history, and Denny's won all 59 of his. How about Hall of Famer and Cup champion Ned Jarrett? He won the 61 and 65 Cup titles. Cale Yarbrough won 3 straight Cup championships. And of course, Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip dominated in the early 80s. Hollywood Casino 400 here on USA, and race leader Denny Hamlin's got company. Kyle Larson has arrived and is desperate to get back to victory lane. Is today that day as they drive by the man who almost won this race a year ago, Kyle Busch.
Denny didn't clear him. Kyle Busch alongside. That's an advantage to Larson.
And Larson's thinking, that 8's faster than I thought. I'm going to run the top behind him. Now he bails to the bottom and chases the 11.
think the driver of that 8 car is frustrated?
Oh, no doubt. Not been the year Kyle Busch is looking for.
No. You think about Kyle Busch, all the wins he's had across all 3 National Series, champion at this level, and it has been a tough year.
Cheddar's on board for the man who's had 35 Cup starts here, more than any other driver. And he raced here in just his 4th Cup race way back in 2004. He's a multi-time winner in Cup Series competition here at Kansas. But today, he's up against it back in 27th. Caution's out. And it's for Cody Ware.
And speaking of Kyle Busch, he should be the car 1 lap down. NASCAR should confirm that, but I believe he will get the free pass. Keselowski right behind him, who ran long, was lapped on that strategy. He was coming quickly on fresher tires, but was unable to get in front of the 8. So that strategy did not work out for the 6. Let's see what exactly happened to the 51. Ooh.
Oh, boy.
I thought he had said something about the left front, so I don't know if the left front went flat. It looks like it's dragging right there.
He had just been to pit road as well.
Yeah, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, he had run long, trying a different strategy, and he had just come off pit road. He said the left front blew.
Either way, heavily damaged, probably the end of the day for Cody Ware. Now with these drivers, not a whole lot of tires extra. 8 sets for the race, 7 brand new ones plus your qualifiers. So that gives you kind of 2 extra sets for random yellows. You know, you definitely want tires. You have 18 laps on these, so new tires are a huge advantage. If you stay out, you'll finish probably last at the end of the stage. So everybody will probably put tires on, but as a crew chief, you already start to get a little nervous to think you've used now a 2nd set in the first 56 laps of the race.
They had just passed Kyle Busch, so if they pit, well, he'll be the first car 1 lap down, so he'll get back in the lead lap.
Yeah, he'll take the free pass.
Yeah, and then the interesting thing is if these guys, Brad Keselowski, he had waited a long time. He's actually a lap down in that 6 car. He had waited a long time. He didn't want that caution. He had just gotten to the leaders. He needed to get back with his newer tires, get back in front of them to get back in the lead lap. Caution came out at the worst time for him.
Yeah, I just don't love that run so long you lap yourself strategy. You should have a predictor to let you put you right back out in front of the leader. So then you're on fresher tires, last car in the lead lap. But when you run long enough that you get lapped, you just leave a big opportunity for trouble. They were hoping for the caution on the front side.
As you know, the NASCAR group is a family. We're a traveling family, and one of our family members is driving with a lot on his mind at the moment, and that is Tyler Reddick. Not only has he got a lot on his mind because he's trying to stay in the playoffs and win a championship, but at home there's quite the challenge. And his wife Alexa shared this on social media. After a run around for months with pediatricians, I knew what was going on was something bigger. Always trust your mum gut. Our sweet 2nd child, Rookie, was showing signs of heart failure that were being missed. Please, please pray for this sweet guy and that God heals his heart. With God, Rookie and his amazing doctors here at Levine's, I believe he can. We're in the cardiovascular ICU while we get some answers and work on improving heart function. I usually don't share our personal lives, but I'm hoping that you take the time to pray for him today. So, needless to say, all of our thoughts are with the Reddick family and the challenge ahead. Kim?
Yeah, and lead things like this definitely put things in perspective. And so I asked crew chief Billy Scott, does the workload or what you ask of Tyler during the week need to change because of this? And he said, right now, no. He said it was very much about getting through this weekend and then seeing if they need to make adjustments to Tyler's schedule to accommodate what he needs to do to prioritize his family.
Yeah, we think about competition, think about your athletes that, you know, we focus on what they do on and off the field, on and off the racetrack, but they live lives just like the rest of us, and they deal with challenges along the way, and obviously this one is top priority.
Yeah.
You know, you want to make the playoffs, you want to, you know, have a chance to win the championship, advance, but there are things more important in life.
So the reason why this caution is somewhat prolonged, they had to go and grab the Evel Knievel 51 from Rick Ware Racing for Cody to take it back to the garage area. And again, this is what happened to Cody. Just listen.
Definitely some sort of tire failure or part failure on the front. Sounds like a blown tire. As you guys mentioned, he was just off from pit road, so you know, would you have to either rub something or run something over? Either way, the result's the same. Hard hit for the 51, but now that he's been removed from pit road should open this time by. It's been documented once already by Marty downstairs, but remember Denny Hamlin missing 2 crew members because of that loose wheel a couple weeks ago. They deferred last week. Under green, that can kind of be covered up a little bit. A lot goes into a green flag pit stops, but here under yellow with the 5 right on your bumper, we'll see if the pit crews can perform, Kim.
That's right. You see Christopher Bell, top left of your screen. He said, free it up a little bit, guys. Not too much, though, about a quarter number or a half number. We'll see what they do here for tires. They do have 4 on the wall, though, Marty.
Cliff Daniels told Kyle Larson, I know the 11 fired off better than you, but I really feel like we were going to be better on the long run. They're going to go with 4 tires. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin said he's still too edgy when he's out front, especially in turn 1 and off of turn 4. He also talked about a vibration. They go right side only on the 11. 4 tires for Chase Briscoe, who said he was a little bit too tight and wanted to undo part of the last adjustment.
We're in the round of 12, the second race of the round of 12 of these 2025 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Just 1 race to go before another cut is made. That's next weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Roval, where anything can happen. And for those drivers close to the line, they know that they need a strong day today. They can't rely on heading to the Roval in a precarious position. NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? And by Toyota. Let's go places.
Trouble out of the 2311 team. The 45 of Tyler Reddick had to make an extra pit stop because on the first pit stop, watch on the right side. Crew goes over, right side up. Watch specifically the right rear back here. What you're going to see is the jack go down, the tire changer not done. He tightens it up. but we have seen many, many, many times that these wheels will not tighten up with the weight of the car on them. They have to be jacked up. So for this reason, the 45 comes back down pit road, takes those all-important sticker tires off. Billy Scott continuing to crew chief. He says, you know what, we lost track position. Let's save those set of stickers. Let's put our qualifying scuffs on, try to make up the best we can from that situation. But he was running inside the top 10. Now he's outside the top 25.
Yeah, he was running 5th. So we talked about the importance for him to be able to get stage points. They were in position to do it. Now this bad pit stop has pushed them toward the back.
But think about it, Steve. You mentioned earlier about Denny Hamlin missing 2 crew members. That was because of losing a wheel a couple of races ago. So heads up by Billy Scott and the team. They didn't want to risk that. So you come back in and they've had to employ some reactionary flexibility and change on the fly.
So the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 22 of Logano, they both did 2 tires.
So it's funny, same call, different opinion. Love the call for the 22 because he had no track position. Don't love the call for Denny Hamlin because I feel like he had track position. Now, you don't know what everybody else is going to do. I've done way worse, but I just think right now, if the crew could have it back, I just think Chris Gale would wish he had those left side tires on. We're going to see how 2 tires hold up with 18 to go.
22 is running 17th. Let's see how he ends up here at the end of this run.
Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson on the front row. We're back to racing with 18 laps to go in stage 1 here in Kansas.
Now that's one way to make 2 tires work and get clean air. Great start by the 11 of Hamlin.
How about Joey Logano, who started way back at the pack, and look at this. Bell got a little squiggly there, right alongside his JGR teammate. Now he's got that inside run on Larson as Larson goes high.
I think Larson believed the 11 of Hamlin was going to get him the outside on corner exit. Hamlin did not do it.
Chase Elliott, the big move to the flat, not out of bounds here at Kansas. He's trying to go from 4th to 2nd. Will he clear the 20? The 20 drives in on his door, and Denny Hamlin loves 3 wide behind him.
This is why you hear the drivers say they love Kansas Speedway. You've got options. There's a variety of lines.
The 2 right side tires are hanging in pretty good right now. The 22 is right there. The 11's been able to drive off.
Way better than I thought. I thought for sure there was going to be a huge lack of grip out of the 11. We'll see if that happens over time as you see Bell and Larson continue to fight for real estate.
Hocevar and Chastain were having a good scrap as well as Briscoe goes up onto that high line towards the fence. 3 wide. Chastain caught in the middle.
Look at the ground they made up on that 22, though. 3 wide, they still gained on him. I think those new tires those older tires could start to hurt him here in just a little bit.
That bright orange Kubota Chevy for Trackhouse, the man who won this race a year ago. He said to me earlier today, it's time for you to call another victory for me. He said, I feel it could be today. We'll see if Chastain can defend his win from a year ago.
Think about what could be for the 9 of Chase Elliott. When you look at his playoffs, Jeff, you talked about it in pre-race. They definitely need a little bit more speed, that race-winning speed. But Barty asked me what the key was, and I said stage points. He qualified 4th. Qualifying has been an absolute Achilles heel for this 9 car in the playoffs. They showed up, they qualified. Now they're trying to get the ultimate payoff and win the first stage if they can get by the 11.
You think about how much relief that was in the 9 team after qualifying, because every week it's been the same old story of having to dig out of a hole way back in the pack. But now the air's a little nicer at the front. And Elliott is having an awesome run here. Hassling race leader Denny Hamlin. He's got his teammate right behind him, Kyle Larson.
Just an amazing call by Chris Gale that I totally thought was a mistake, taking 2 tires, showing why he's one of the best on top of the pit box, still working for the 11. I don't know if he can hold off this fast-charging 9 and 5 car, but much better than I thought. And you mentioned Joey Logano back there in 5th, who was 17th, Jeff. If he can just continue some good laps, maybe it'll work out.
HendrickCars.com on board. Let's go for a ride with Larson. Have a listen.
They're a little bit quicker than Hamlin, but Denny Hamlin is a hard pass.
Chase Elliott continues just to chip away at Hamlin. And looking and working those different lines and seeing where the 11's strong and what suits that 9 the best. Bottom box, the Chastain-Briscoe Hocevar scrap continues, talking about 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Good first stage for the one car at Chastain.
Well, this run by the 11 of Denny Hamlin and this 2-tire call is working out because the 11 of Denny Hamlin got an amazing start out of the restart zone. And Jeff, you called it live. This move off from turn 2, huge run out of the 5 of Kyle Larson. The 11 slides up and forces the 5 to chop the gas. I'm a big believer if the 5 gets by him there, the 11's in dirty air. There's no way the tires hold on as well. Denny Hamlin knows that. He's aggressive, runs that first lap like it means more than it should early in stage 1, and for that reason, he still has the lead, Marty.
What a restart by Denny Hamlin as they come to 9 to go. Chris Gale would love for this call to work out for that 11 team. But Dave, remember what Hamlin said before that pit stop? We were way too loose right here on the entry of turn 1, also the exit of turn 4. Can he hold Chase Elliott back for 9 more laps?
And the guys talked about it earlier. Chase Elliott spoke of the fact that their qualifying efforts have been subprime, and that is what's costing them the points coming in. Now remember, they after he pitted under the green flag cycle, he lost a couple of spots there, but has charged back to the front. That last pit stop, they tightened up the race car. Jeff Burton, you can't do what he's doing right now if your car is way too loose, and that's what it was before this, as he still tries to get to Hamlin.
Yeah, Dave, you want the back of the car to be gripped up, but one of the things that happens if you get the back too gripped up, now the front doesn't work. So having that balance is really what you need. And clearly they made their car better.
Teammates fighting over second here. Larson down low, Chase Elliott up by the fence. Love this spoiler cam. And Christopher Bell is looming in the background in 4th. So it's Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick filling the top 4 positions, and then Joey Logano in 5th.
How about Joey Logano in 5th? Flat tire practice, drags the diffuser off, qualifies last, wasn't very fast at practice, yet here he is and has an opportunity to score stage points. Paul Wolfe and Joey Logano, it's like Harry Houdini, what they do at the beginning of these races.
Remember Richmond? He went from 38th to 4th.
Yeah.
Tell us more, Dave.
So Lee, Paul Wolfe, his crew chief, told me this morning, would I do 2 tires? I don't think I can. Well, I might if I'm desperate. Remember how this day started? They were desperate, Kim.
Yeah, remember when we talked to Bubba Wallace of NASCAR Countdown to Green? He was cool, calm, collected, said they just need to go out here and get a base hit. Well, some of that patience is eroding. Take a listen to the radio.
Come on, man. I don't give a f about restarts. I want to crash into turn 1, lap 1 on a restart, man. I want to crash. Stop it.
So that car was not good for the first person of stage 1. They have not made it better for the driver of the number 23, Bubba Wallace.
These two right here, they are going at it. Zane Smith was in the rear bumper of the 77 into turn 3. I mean, they are racing hard. Look at that.
Oh.
I mean, it has gotten aggressive.
This is over 9th. 9th place that Hocevar holds, and Zane Smith wanted it. He got the weekend off to a great start yesterday, promising in practice.
They're still going at it.
Two young guys with plenty of speed and making the most over the last 6 races of the season.
And both running in the top 10. That is really good for this 38 car. They have shown all year that they have some speed.
Bubba Wallace, bottom box. William Byron, that's 13th and 14th.
William Byron is just not running as well as I thought he would run.
Very mediocre. Now, he has the advantage to be mediocre where he came in the points, but you don't want to use it all up. Bubba Wallace and Byron on the bottom will be outside the top 10 for stage points. Reddick as well, just a reminder, all the way back at 24th after that pit issue. He won't be able to score stage points either. Dave, how about the 24?
So disappointing right now for William Byron. So tight, he said, I don't know what to do with this. He was promised they'll get it fixed up on this next stop, which is coming up in just a lap, please.
He had a rough run here earlier in the year in the spring race. Remember, he came off turn 4 and spun and almost spun right into pit entrance. So he said he loves Kansas, but there's been things happen here that kind of not always guaranteed a great race. But keeping his spirits high, and as far as the playoff points are concerned, he's nicely in 5th place as they run right now. Stage 1 is almost done with the final lap, with thanks to Credit One Bank. And what a stage it's been by Denny Hamlin. Controversy last weekend, closed door meetings, and not a reluctance to talk about it, just simply we are not talking about what happens internally at our team, but there has been a direction established on how we will race. And I guess the best way to shut everybody up is to go out there and dominate stage 1 and maybe even go on and win the race. So well done, Denny Hamlin. 5th stage win this year for the JGR man.
A two-tire call for Denny Hamlin gets him the stage win. But even bigger is this one right here, the 22 Joey Logano running 17th, comes in, puts right side tires on, finishes 7th, gets 4 stage points.
Great work by the 22, great work by the 11. JGR and Toyota dominated that as far as laps led, but we've got all the big names at the front. This is going to be quite the fight. NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. And by SafeLight, the auto glass experts. Beautiful day here in Kansas for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs presented by Valvoline. Yep, one more to go after today, and then we go into the round of 8. But this is far from done. 2 more stages to go, and the Roval next weekend. Pit road is open, and it is super busy, Dave Burns.
The first one to hit is Chase Elliott. He has a nice, easy entry into his pit stall. He said that was better, but it's still not where he needed to be. Remember, he was loose, Kim.
Top right, Christopher Bell said, I could definitely tell it was freer, and I think it hurt me on the first few laps, but after that, I think it's okay. So no major changes. Debate on what they were going to do during this stop. Code New York Yankees was the call, Marty.
Kyle Larson told Cliff Daniels, honestly, I felt like the car is pretty good. I'm not sure we should make many changes. He finishes second in that stage to Denny Hamlin, who gets the stage win, playoff point in the bank for Hamlin. He said, I'm still too free once I'm out front. The car is still too edgy, but that last adjustment was 60% of what I needed, and Hamlin will lose some spots here on pit road after winning the stage, and the 45 on pit road in front of you, Kim.
That's right, you saw that almost run-in with Christopher Bell after Bell only took right side tires, so just another hiccup for the 45, which is not what they needed after an earlier mishap on pit road.
Let's remember, it was this exact issue for Bell at Darlington that ended that great run. Contact on the right front, damaged the splitter. Almost the same thing again here at Kansas.
Things are heating up here in the NASCAR playoffs at Kansas Speedway, and amazing things happen when you enter the NASCAR Powerball playoff. Just ask Kansas lottery player Francisco Javier Arribas, who got to wave the green flag at yesterday's Kansas Lottery 300. Francisco is one of 12 semifinalists with a chance to win $1 million at NASCAR Championship Weekend. Along the way, Kansas lottery players are experiencing racing like never before, from meeting top drivers to stepping inside the garages. Want to feel the rush yourself? Check with your local lottery. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR.
Wish everybody good luck. Cool competition. All right, pit lane has been a hot spot today, and this has been the most recent example.
Tyler Reddick coming down pit road, not understanding that Christopher Bell was two tires, leaving this quickly. Almost contact. They both did a good job of working this out. Could have been much worse, as you mentioned, Steve. Let's listen to what they were saying.
Pitting here, 4 tires and fuel, most likely around the 20. Stop at normal.
Clear. If the 20 was taken 2, that's what needed to be said.
It is what was said. The 20's taking 2, he'll be gone. We got to check up for him.
10-4.
I heard a lot of different things. Most likely around the 20, and then that some disagreement and frustration. I understand the driver's frustration on the radio because he doesn't want to run into the 20. The spotter's in there. So in my experience, the spotter's job is on pit road till about 5 pit stalls away. Normally the crew chief then calls 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The spotter should give you an idea about cadence, and then the spotter clears it out. Billy Scott, Tyler Reddick been working together for quite some time. Fortunately, there wasn't, you know, contact, but you can imagine the frustration. Remember, Reddick was running inside the top 15, had to pit a second time because of a slow pit stop, already has no track position, now almost runs into the 20. So it's, you know, it's been a frustrating time, and let's not forget, this is back at Loudon. The 5 leaves after 2 tires, and there's the 45. Same thing again.
Same thing.
So you would imagine that this is something you would want to work on, because now here he is backing up into his stall. So, and this has become more complicated because look, right side stops are like 4.5, 5 seconds. I mean, they're not there for very long. It's kind of like a gas and go almost.
Well, what was interesting is that they knew that the 20 was taking 2 tires. So there was good communication between the spotters. Hey, we're taking 2. We know you're coming around us. If I'm the driver, if I'm Reddick, that's all I need to hear. Hey, he's taking 2. We don't know if he's going to be gone or not.
Yeah.
I need you to be watching for that,
right,
rather than telling me what's going to happen, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right,
The timing of all that got messed up.
Let's show you Denny Hamlin's pit stop.
Yeah, remember a couple new pit stop members on this team. Right side up, right side's off. Look pretty good going on. Right rear going on. Some trouble, looks like, with the gun. You see him bang with his left hand 2 or 3 times to get the switch over done on the gun to make sure it was tight. So a little sloppy, not super costly. You see him in the 3rd row, but a little sloppy on the 11th.
How about we get stage 2 going of this Hollywood Casino 400? Christopher Bell on the inside of Kyle Larson, and Bell, who finished runner-up here in the spring, has looked incredibly strong today. He gets a little shove from Ross Chastain. Hamlin got into Chastain as well. So Bell down the back stretch. Here comes Larson. Chase Elliott's in the mix. Briscoe's there. Hocevar looked for the inside on Joey Logano, and that door was promptly shut.
How about the 9 of Chase Elliott parking it on the right rear quarter panel of Chastain?
It slowed them both up, and that allowed Hamlin to get by.
These guys are vicious to each other in traffic. And we should all love it.
Restarts here at Kansas are a feature, and a feature for a reason.
Oh, Larson, he drove it down into turn 3 with tons of speed. Bell is able, wreck off turn 4.
Uh-oh. John Hunter Nemechek and the 60 of Ryan Preece.
You talked about it, Steve, how wild these restarts are, how aggressive it is. A couple laps after dropping the green flag.
What's that like as a driver, Jeff? Do you get extra amped up knowing that when you're at a track like Kansas where the restarts are so crazy?
Opportunity. This is what this is all about. You got to get going. What happens here? Oh, just Preece comes up the racetrack.
Yeah.
Gets into the side of Nemechek.
Preece needed 3 lanes to try to save whatever handling issue he was having, and he only had 2. Looks like it starts tight, and the back kind of walks around. Eric Jones is fully on the brakes.
Cindric.
Playoff driver Cindric sneaking through.
Yeah, he looks like he got tight. Like he was in the middle of, leaving the corner, just gets tight. Can't get slowed down. Wow.
I take that back. The statement about the brakes, no, he was just wide open. Just stayed wide open. Unbelievable.
I mean, look at the 2-car Cindric. Whoa.
Straight through the gap.
Seas parted.
Wow.
That was in the teens. Preece and Nemechek were running 16th and 17th. Super close call for Austin Cindric.
It's a pretty decent damage on the right front of the 60. A high-speed track. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but it'll definitely disrupt the airflow for Preece. Both will have to come to the service of their crew. When the roof flap's open, the diffuser flap gets deployed, so they'll have to come down and clean the cars up a little bit. I would imagine all the leaders will stay out. Maybe somebody like Reddick might come get gas, 75, 74 to go. Maybe they think there's some sort of Hail Mary of running the stage all the way through, or just, you know, you have to be careful, though, because even Reddick running 25th, as frustrated as he may be, there's still 8 cars, 9 cars behind him on the lead lap. So, you know, you just don't want to throw away 9 positions.
Super frustrating for Tyler Reddick because he was running as high as 5th earlier in this race, and coming from 11th in the playoff point standings, he'd leapfrogged his way up to 9th and just 1 below the cut line and only 10 out, and now he's some 50 points out, and he is 12th and last in the playoff standings. A day that was showing so much promise for Reddick has got increasingly more difficult as John Hunter Nemechek and Ryan Preece went for a wild ride. Back in a moment. Seven-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson turned 50 this month, and many fans wonder what a day is like for the Legacy Motor Club co-owner since he's no longer full-time behind the wheel. Well, would you believe Jimmy is a carpool dad after breakfast and getting his daughter and her friends to school? Jimmy's day has only just begun. From working with his team in the shop, the company-wide meetings, to taping the Never Settle podcast, Jimmy's always on the go and striving to help the continued growth of Legacy Motor Club. To learn more about a day in the life of the Hall of Famer, visit Toyota Gazoo Racing North America and Legacy Motor Club on social media. Let's talk more about the 11 of Denny Hamlin with Marty Snyder. What you got, mate?
Been a terrific day for Hamlin so far. He's led 57 laps and also had a couple of outstanding restarts, the last 2 restarts. But is there an issue with the 11 car? Listen to the radio just moments ago.
Throttle did just stick under caution here. Feet were off the pedals and it was going. Copy.
So no panic yet in the 11 camp, Steve, but I want to go back to what Denny talked to me about yesterday. They have had such a great car here at Kansas over the years. Remember the spring, they were a really good car in the spring. They had a clutch issue, but he said, we have had so many mechanical issues here at Kansas. If you're Chris Gale, how concerned would you be with what just happened on the 11?
We're absolutely concerned, not only for the potential impact of the playoffs, but just what that means for a driver at a track where you kind of roll out of the gas at 185 miles an hour. It's a dangerous situation, and you could almost hear it, Jeff, in Denny's voice and the tone, not the fear of, hey, the throttle's sticking, but the sheer kind of crushing disappointment of, man, please tell me this isn't going to be a bigger issue.
Yeah, and there's the obviously concern of it sticking wide open and the car not slowing down entry. You can shut it off and slow the impact down, but what if it's sticking 10%, 20%? That completely changes the way your car drives.
Toyota Supra off, back on pit road, leaving a clear track for a take two opportunity for Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. Here we go. Stage 2 back underway here in Kansas. Great restart, Christopher Bell. The Hendrick teammates are helping each other. Hamlin sees his teammate disappear. And how about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that bright green 47?
And Briscoe made it 3 wide, jumped on the outside of Chastain. Those guys are still 3 wide.
On board with Briscoe, the Toyota on board. You see that orange Chastain ride right in front of him. How about Bubba Wallace right there? And then Logano 3 wide. Blaney has slowly but surely inched his way in this backup car up inside the top 15.
That was efficient work. That was methodical, efficient by these Penske drivers. Not only last week's winner Ryan Blaney, but Joey Logano on his left. And then Austin Cindric's a little further back, but at least he's in the top 20.
5 car starting to look a little bit like Larson of the first half of the year. Kind of pre-made Kyle Larson. This is what we expect. Leading laps. Bell with a big crossover. The dirt racers duel at the front.
Bell to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to slide up in front of Larson. Let's see if Larson has enough momentum. He does not to get to the inside of Bell. And Bell's okay with this. Even if he does get to the inside, he got outside position on him.
Remember, Bell's on 2 tires. The 5, the 9, the 11, all on 4 good years back at lap 83.
2 Toyotas and 2 Chevrolets filled the top 4 positions. And Toyota and Chevrolet have an even spread of the victories this year with 12 wins each, which just so happens to be twice as many victories as the Ford camp. So Ford would like to try and change that over these remaining 6 races. Highest place Ford at the moment is Joey Logano in 10th. So it's the Sports Clips Camry today for for Denny Hamlin, who runs in 4th. And today you may have noticed on the back of the car there's a yellow logo, and what it is a bright yellow stem and biplane. There's a good message behind this, because Sport Clips was actually founded by an Air Force veteran, and they've dedicated some space on the car today, a non-profit called Dream Flights that's honored nearly 8,000 veterans in senior living and assisted living communities with free flights in it, in a restored World War II era biplane. So that's just a little nod to the veterans and a great message.
Chase Elliott, he's going to slide Larson. Larson's got a lot of momentum, but let's see what he does here. Yep, to the quarter panel. Now let's see if Larson returns the favor. You know, it's interesting. The bottom works pretty good in 3 and 4, Steve. 1 and 2, it's more difficult to stay on the bottom.
Out of line, trying to get your inside.
Yeah, Chase Elliott just overdrives the corner, but that time Larson's able to keep position on him. These 2 teams going at it right here, these 2 drivers. Motorsports has to be happy with the speed they brought to the race today.
For a couple, look at the bottom of the pylon. You see their running order. Larson 2nd, Elliott 3rd, Bowman a respectable 12th. We're hearing he's having a little bit of steering issue, but Byron, something just to miss on the 24 so far. He's all the way back at 22nd, does not have the speed to match his teammates.
This restart has not been good to him. He lost 7 spots since they've dropped the green flag.
Kyle Larson said yesterday, this has probably been my worst playoffs. Certainly been my worst playoffs performance since I've been with Hendrick Motorsports. A 19th, a 12th, a 32nd, and last weekend a 7th. And he said New Hampshire, as he's got Denny Hamlin on his inside, He said Loudon was a turning point. We're getting better and better. But what people don't realize is us as a team as Denny goes through on the inside.
That's the second time that Denny has used all of the racetrack up on Larson, and we've seen those two go at it before.
Look at this guy, Bubba Wallace now.
He's back. He is back. They've made the necessary changes, and he slips through on Kyle Larson.
So, Jeff, you're just feeling that this guy right here, Kyle Larson, wasn't just really happy when the 11 slid across his bumper off, too?
I'm thinking he's not. Here it is. Watch this. Denny had really good momentum, turns left on him, just kind of slides up the racetrack, and Larson right here is thinking, okay, I got to run, and Denny just takes it away.
Drop it all the way.
Not that Denny did anything egregious by any means, but remember the start of the race, how aggressive that got, right? So
with a big run out bang.
Twice. And drivers tend to blow things out of proportion a little bit. They get emotional, get upset.
What a turnaround for Bubba Wallace in that US Navy Toyota Camry for 2311 Racing. He's got Ross Chastain starting to work on him in that bright orange Kubota Chevy. But early in stage one, Bubba was miserable. He went backwards big time. But the team have done good work. Charles Denike and the crew have made the necessary changes, and he's back. And he's back, and he's fighting as hard as he can. He's 10th in the playoff standings at the moment, 28 below the cut line. But if he can surge his way forward and maybe be in the conversation for another win on the season, the Brickyard 400 winner can keep his playoffs dreams alive.
I'll tell you what, this one car, Ross Chastain, they brought some speed to the playoffs. They haven't had race-winning speed. See the 23 going by the 5. But I feel like this one car has done pretty well. Like, they've given themselves a chance to advance.
I know one thing. If I'm a Toyota and I have the ability to see what adjustments were made, I am going through the 23's adjustment list, because it was a very average type of car, and it is turning into a standout car right away. So great work, as you mentioned, by that 23 car.
3 of the 4 JGR cars have led laps here today, but let's talk more about the 20. Obviously driven by Christopher Bell. He's done that since the start of 2021, but Hall of Famer Tony Stewart won 2 of his 3 Cup titles in it. Hall of Famer Matt Kenseth won 15 times in his 5 years driving the 20. A reminder, when in Vegas, you can stay where the races stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa. It's the ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point, everything you want, all under one roof. And Vegas is not too far away, featuring in these NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Presented by Valvoline. We are here in Kansas Speedway. Lee Diffie, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, enjoying a very warm fall afternoon. And it's been a fun afternoon so far. Christopher Bell in this Rheem Toyota Camry for JGR leads the way over his teammate Denny Hamlin, the Stage 1 winner. Then Chase Elliott, then Bubba Wallace with a tremendous comeback. And then Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, who won this race a year ago. Then Chase Briscoe, the pole man, and Joey Logano with quite the comeback from the back of the field to be running 8th. So let's start at the top, and with thanks to homes.com, let's go through the field. We start with Christopher Bell with Kim Kuhn. Kimmy?
Yeah, Christopher Bell and his team had a 3-race point total for this round. They were aiming for it in order to transfer. Solid day last weekend. We're on track for that points total, but crew chief Adam Stevens told me if we have a car that can win, we have got to capitalize. He said they should know by the middle of stage 2. Guys, it's the middle of stage 2. He's leading. They are preparing to tighten up that car on the next stop, though, Marty.
Denny Hamlin, with the fastest car on the track right now, sits in second. And why are playoff points so important today for Hamlin and the 11 team? Before the playoffs even started, he told us there's one race we cannot win on the 11 team in the playoffs. That's the Roval. Roval is next week. Hamlin already has a playoff point in the bank. And remember, Dave, we said he needed about 40% more the last adjustment. They found it. Hamlin said car's really good.
Chase Elliott started the day just 14 points above the cut line. That's why qualifying 4th was so important, to put him in position to get those 8 stage points at the end of stage 1. But also important, getting this car right. They made another adjustment on the last run because the car has been trending free. He's running solid in 3rd. Kim?
Talk about getting the car right. They have done work on that Bubba Wallace machine, currently running in the 4th position. Remember, he came in last in the playoff grid to this race. They know the situation they're in. They're aware, but they said it is not a weekend ender, not a mindset changer. It's okay. We know the cards were dealt with. We have to do the best we can. They just checked in with Bubba, asked how the car was. He said, neutral, leave me alone, is what he told the team, Marty.
We saw Kyle Larson fall from 2nd to 5th on the restart, Kim. Anything wrong with the 5 car? Kyle Larson said, don't worry, guys.
Fine, don't freak out. I just done a bad job.
Of course, all good, man. Shake it off. No panic here, no panic.
No panic, and Larson sitting in 5th, said the car is really good. Meanwhile, this pit stop cycle happening right now. Ryan Blaney is driven from the back of the field into the top 10, but he said he had a pretty bad vibration that was getting worse. So Jonathan Astor told him, said, I'm going to leave it up to you. You decide when you need to come to pit road, and Blaney said, that's enough. So pitting here, and you got to wonder, 46 to go in the stage, Steve, that can open the window for everybody else.
I think they're going to have no choice. No choice, Marty, to your point about coming to pit road. We see now the 23 of Bubba Wallace, the 22 of Logano, as well as the 77 of Hocevar, Kim.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, he just talked about the car being neutral at this point. Remember, very angry for the first stage. Seems like they've gotten that car right for Bubba Wallace, Dave.
Need to try to carry a little more entry speed both ends. That's what the driver was told by his spotter. He also gets these 4 fresh tires here for better handling. Above him, you see William Byron coming down pit road. This car was not in great position at all. He complained on the radio. In fact, he called it horrible. The adjustment they did last time, William did not like. Also, his teammate, Chase Elliott, pits from up in the top 5. Elliott will get 4 fresh tires and fuel here, Marty.
You see the battle for the lead, top of your screen between teammates Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson coming down pit road. The no panic Kyle Larson doesn't really want any changes with the 5 car. A little bit longer on the right side there for the 5 as the battle for the track on the track also comes to pit road between the 20 and the 11. You see Chase Briscoe at the very front end of pit road. They finally got the freeness out of that car. He said, I was a little bit too tight to start that run, but it paid off at the end of the run. Meanwhile, Kim, here come the teammates, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin.
Now you see him nose to tail. Now Christopher Bell will pull out. Oh, almost a little incident there with the 34. Christopher just needs to be tightened up. Got a little too free on those 2 tires, Marty, as they'll put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel.
Kim, it's interesting. Chris Gale told Denny Hamlin under the last caution, listen, when we have a green flag stop next, you can push it a little bit more. So Hamlin did that. 4 tires, no changes to the 11.
And the 11 easily beats his teammate off pit road. But look at this as we cycle through. Where's Bubba Wallace going to come out?
Early to pit road or early to fresh tires, big advantage. That should be enough for the 23 of Wallace as he takes the momentum around 1 and 2 by the team owner, by his competitor, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Hamlin will settle in behind and try to just overtake quickly on the brand new tires.
The fall winner 3 years ago, Bubba Wallace in this US Air Force Camry has turned it around. Kim, here's his teammate.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick finishing up that stop. He just said tight, especially in traffic, but he had made work of some of that traffic after multiple hiccups on pit road and worked up to like the 16th or 17th stop before these green flag cycles started.
What a story it would be if it was not from last on the grid, but from the bottom of the playoff field to victory lane for the 23.
Incredible.
Getting on the pit road and having good pit stops. All of it matters for track position. Nowhere in the picture is the 20 car. He had a bad pit stop, but a great, watch this coming to pit road. The 11 car right to the rear bumper of the 20, jumps to the outside of him. Christopher Bell is coming to pit road. Denny Hamlin's coming to pit road. That was an interesting exchange right there.
Then he follows that up with a 13.3 second pit stop on the 20 compared to the 10.1 for Denny Hamlin, or the 9.5 second pit stop. So look right here, they come in and around, but now they're out of sorts. The jackman's not in place. The right side's come off. Decent around the car, but I think all the speed was kind of lost on the right side getting out to the car. I mean, 4 seconds was lost from the 20 to the 23. 3 seconds lost to the 11. The fill-in pit crew members on the 11 are doing what needs to be done. Not the best on pit road, but very solid, keeping the driver in it. You see on the bottom left, penalty for the 43 of Eric Jones, uncontrolled tire. Legacy Motor Club has been improving the speed of their race car. The next step of this organization is going to be execution. So easy to say, so hard to do, but a couple issues on pit road already have kind of derailed the 43's effort.
What a fight here between boss and employee. Bubba Wallace and his co-owner at 2311, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has said before, yes, I'm a co-owner and I'm involved, but when it comes to the drivers, I let them do their thing because I'm out there on the track against them. So I focus on what I've got to do at JGR, and we don't muddy the waters, so to speak, between the two. There's a very clear line in the sand between me as a co-owner and me as a competitor and as a driver.
99% of him right now is irritated he can't pass the 23. Now there's 1% buried way down inside that he's proud of what he's seeing out of the organization. Now he's going to be happier now that he's in front of him. The 9 to Chase Elliott going to try to trap the 23 on the bottom, get this big run off the top. What racing we've had today. I was not sure what we would see. Hot temperatures, sometimes a slick mile-and-a-half doesn't allow the drivers a lot of opportunity. Exact inverse of that today. I think the hot temperatures and the Goodyear tire they brought, Jeff, this track is rubbered in from white line to wall.
Yeah, it's been aggressive. It's been good racing. Some good strategy calls.
I'd say they like being back on a mile-and-a-half, Jeff, wouldn't you?
This is one of their favorites, too. They love this racetrack.
And that new Goodyear right side tire that Steve was alluding to, we'll see that again here shortly in the playoffs at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kyle Larson almost into the back of his teammate.
The 9 goes up, seals the 23 ink of the 23 crossover.
Still waiting for Daniel Suarez to pit before Hamlin cycles through to the official lead.
And Diff, you and I had this conversation earlier this week about Bubba Wallace. You know, he's made the playoffs before, but kind of did it on points. This year he did it with a win. And there's just been a different mental fortitude out of this driver. He has confidence. Even when his car isn't good today, he was fired up on the radio telling what it needed to do, but I'm okay with that. But look at what that has done. The car has gotten better. The driver's still in the game, now running third.
The new dad is like a new driver. 30 laps to go in stage 2 here in the Hollywood Casino 400. Looking at Kyle Larson in 3rd, Christopher Bell in 4th. He's the race leader, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's led 63 laps already today. This has been very much a JGR Toyota dominated day with Hamlin, Bell, Briscoe all leading laps, and a lot of them. But they have been effectively shadowed by the Hendrick Motorsports duo of Elliott and Larson. And that's got that feeling that that's going to continue. Let's check in with Dave Burns. What you got?
So, Lee, it was so interesting yesterday in practice and qualifying when when 2 of the 3 Penske cars had issues. The 2 was the one that did not, but they also forwent their final time on the practice field just to make sure they weren't pushing things too far. That looked like a corporate problem when you can't get a lot of straight answers from these guys because they're doing a lot of things cool, but at the same time it caused all the teams to look very hard at what they were doing on today. And you guys know when you change one thing on a car, you change your philosophy, you've got to change it all the way around. So Austin hasn't had a lot to complain about today, but also has not been able to find the speed to run up to the front, Kim.
Well, Tyler Reddick running in the 19th position, and the expectation for 2311 is to go deep in the playoffs, and they are teetering on falling short of that expectation currently as they run. Tyler Reddick minus 44 to the cut line. They've had multiple mishaps today, and crew chief Billy Scott told me we have got to execute on all fronts. They've fallen short on that today. They were treating this like a must-win. They said they could not be conservative. They need to be aggressive with decisions, especially in the final stage, Dave.
William Byron runs in the 22nd position. I told you he wasn't happy about his race car. This was a report before the last stop.
Just the back out, late exit, that's it. Nothing, no turn, nothing. I have nothing. It's honestly a bad adjustment because now I can't get off the corner at all. Terrible.
So he didn't like the adjustment. Rudy promised him we're going to do something different when you get back in here. Please try your best to keep that car on the lead lap. That may be a difficult task.
Hands full, to say the least.
Yeah, he's currently running 22nd. Not the day they wanted so far. These guys are going at it, Steve.
Yeah, 5 of Larson, big run off turn 2. Bubba Wallace knows it, and Bubba runs him all the way down to the white line. Larson ended up getting by Bubba a couple laps later, but this was an aggressive defensive move by the driver of the 23. You know, the challenge is we just updated Byron back there in 22nd. That's the worst playoff driver. So a track where we have seen a lot of DNFs and playoff issues, today, at least so far, the opposite. Playoff drivers 1 through 8. So even a guy like Bubba, who's having a great day in 5th, is still, you know, a chunk out, 30 points below as they currently run because nobody's really given up any points.
Sure, this 20 car, Christopher Bell, I think he's got the best car on the racetrack. Remember, he was on 2 tires at the end of the run before this pit cycle. Those 2 tires had given up some. The 11 of Hamlin had run him down. Then they had a bad pit stop, lost a lot of track position. Now he is battling Chase Elliott for 2nd position. He is going to slide Chase Elliott, take this, and we're going to watch him. He is going to run the 11 down right here. I think he has enough speed to get to him.
He's only 1.6 seconds behind his teammate and race leader Denny Hamlin. So keep that figure in mind and watch him just eat away at it.
Am I the only one that thinks Daniel Suarez has run next to the leaders 1 lap down most of the day? Every time I see the leaders, here's Suarez fighting to get a caution at the right time, currently in the free pass position. That could be so frustrating too. You just get a little behind, you lose a lap, and then the rest of the day you're like, look, I'm as good as these guys. I'm running right next to them.
Running good.
Yeah, just a mile and a half behind.
Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota dominated the round of 16. Incredible performances. So with that, here's a Toyota driver update. We don't need to really go that far, do we? Or dig that deep. 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th. Ty Gibbs back in 16th.
Briscoe started on the pole. Just really hasn't had, you know, that pace, right? He was really fast on short run speed, but just not what we expected from him. But not a bad day.
But that's the problem for Briscoe, right? Then he hasn't had any bad days. Top 10 in every race, running 6th here. Scored stage points, and here he is 13 points above the cut line as we run. It's just the regular season performance matters. Winning a ton of races, scoring those playoff points, it does kind of assure some comfort when you get into the playoffs. And you know, he only has 18 of them versus other cars that have in their 30s.
He came in 12 above the cut line, and as you said, Steve, he sits 13 right now.
He only got 2 stage points in New Hampshire. I talked about the speed, and see these two guys going at it. 2 teammates. Larson's going to slide up in front of Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's going to turn left. No, he decides not to. Just going to push him. That must be simply because he feels like the 5 of Larson's a little quicker. There's no sense in me taking the battle to the 5 and then hold both of us up.
HendrickCars.com on board. Looking back at Chase Elliott. I want to finish something that I started saying before and didn't get a chance to, and that was the words of Kyle Larson to people saying, look, it's been a tough year. We've had personnel changes. We lost a crew member. There's just been stuff going on that you know, has an impact on the team. And you know, he said quite proudly, you know, we've continued to soldier on and push through and keep getting better. And going back to New Hampshire, yeah, even though it wasn't a win, it was a turning point. He said we're getting better. We're getting closer back to where we should be, where we need to be.
You talk about that 99 car being a lap down, trying hard to be the first car a lap down. Well, Denny Hamlin just got to the 3 car of Austin Dillon, so now the 99 is no longer in that position.
Chase Elliott's thinking, man, give me a little space. Or push me.
Look how far the 20's driven away from this group.
And remember that figure I gave you a couple of laps ago, 1.6 seconds. It's down to 1.3. Christopher Bell is eating into Hamlin's lead, 10th by a 10th.
He can see Denny Hamlin. That's motivation.
NASCAR Cup Series playoffs here in Kansas continue. We say thanks to Valvoline. The monster onboard of Riley Herbst. Let's show you a replay of something that just went down not long ago.
Oh, just got tight leaving the corner and had to come out of the throttle. Still made contact with the wall. You can see the 5 of Kyle Larson getting by him. The 20 just got by him.
So Larson's been able to leave his teammate behind. He's been able to edge away from Elliott. And for Denny Hamlin, he's actually extended his lead. So it looked like Christopher Bell was eating into it there at one point in time, but Hamlin is working his way very effectively through traffic.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job, and the 20 of Bell is kind of leveled off. You know, he was gaining quite a bit, but then he just kind of lost a little speed. We saw that at the end of the run before this pit stop started as well. So maybe this 20 car needs a little bit of a tune-up to be as good as they want to be on long runs.
Well, Jeff, earlier you and I both thought it was 2 tires. Remember, last run it was 2 tires, and that's why we thought he fell off. Now we're just wondering, or at least I'm wondering, if that's just not the signature of the 20, the last 10% of the run, just hard on the tires. Kim, what are you hearing on the 48 of Bowman?
Yeah, it's been a quiet day for Bowman, who runs in the 12th position, but not without issues. Something has been going on with his steering, and that's been going on since the middle of stage 1. It's been pulsing in the corners. They think it's a power steering leak, but haven't really done anything to fix it. Right now, it continues to be manageable for Alex in terms of the car. He said it's lazy in the front, but then wants to snap loose, Marty.
Kim, let's give a shout out to Ryan Blaney and Jonathan Hassler. They have driven, yes, driven from 37th to 9th in this backup car. And Steve, I had a very interesting conversation with Hassler this morning. He said, listen, because we've already advanced, I have one goal today, and that's it, playoff points. But starting in the back, kind of figured I wasn't going to get playoff points today. So I turned this into a 400-mile test session. The Cup Series teams have never run this right side tire until today. The next race will show up at Vegas. And Hassler told me, I think Las Vegas is the most important race in the playoffs other than the championship race. So do you kind of follow that logic with Jonathan Hassler, Steve, to kind of say, hey, we'll take these 400 miles today here in Kansas. Maybe it'll help us in Vegas in 2 weeks.
Well, 2 things. One, I think it's very important to not just take weeks off. I don't think you could just take weeks off and go through the motions and expect to be able to tune it up when it matters. So I think that test session concept, Jeff, keeps the engineers, the driver, everybody with a very specific task at hand. Let's go prove we know what we need in a few weeks when we head out west to Vegas.
Let's give a shout out to AJ Armendinger as we ride aboard with Chase Briscoe with thanks to Toyota. The Dinger started 20th. He runs in 11th place in his Corlick Chevrolet. Speaking of Corlick Racing, congrats to Chris Rice. The former president has been promoted to CEO of that organization.
Chris was there at the very start of that company. Continue to be promoted as they grow.
Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, this is 7th and 8th. And this incredible performance in the Shell Pennzoil Ford from Logano after just a very un-Penske-like Saturday, not only for Joey, but for Ryan Blaney and for Austin Cindric. And the very unfamiliar, from a team perspective, to have all 3 of them grouped at the back of this field at the drop of the green earlier today. So look at those positions made. 28 apiece for Logano and Blaney and 19 for Austin Cindric. And we are nearing the end of this second stage here at Kansas Speedway. Just 4 to go.
Hamlin's lead is just over a second now, but with lap traffic, Bell taking big chunks off from it. There's Hamlin right there side by side with Brad Keselowski trying to stay in position to get the free pass, and there's Bell right there. So with 3 to go, I think Hamlin still has space, but at a momentum track like this, if you get the guy to get you in the wrong spot, kind of like Hamlin is right here, if he has to chop the gas one time or get stalled out, it could evaporate pretty quickly.
Hey, who's got the Xfinity fastest lap today? Let's have a look. Oh, no surprise, the 11. Denny Hamlin.
I tell you, this is taking a lot of speed out of this 11 car, this battle. You see Bell closing in. That's about a half a second right there. Keselowski's just not going to pull over. He wants to stay in this lead lap.
And for the first time in this stage, Denny Hamlin's lead has been trimmed to less than a second.
Well, he's got problems too, because if the 20 can get a run off the top and the 11 doesn't clear the 6 right here, very important corner exit.
Cleared him.
Oh, that is going to be the difference, I believe, right there. If he got stuck side by side, he was going to be in an awkward spot. He slid in front of the 6. That should take some pressure off this final lap.
And you may be wondering why the 6 raced him so hard, because he's going to be the first car lap down. He'll get the wave and be back in the lead lap, because the 6 has got to start at the tail end of the longest line, as opposed if he would have been able to stay on the lead lap, he then could have started, he would have restarted 27th. That is a big track position difference.
Final lap presented by Credit One Bank, and Denny Hamlin has now led 92 laps here today. Won stage 1, and Hamlin's going to win stage 2, sweeping those stages and doing everything he can do to make life easier on him next week headed to the Roval. If he can just continue this run and win here in Kansas, he's won here more than anybody at this track. He's won 4 times. If Denny can do it again today, what a rebound from last week's controversy with his teammate. Silence the critics. Well, so far, he certainly has. The winner of stages 1 and 2, Denny Hamlin, here in Kansas. NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express Card, and by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. We've got an 85-degree day here in Kansas for this playoff round. Pretty amazing. Quite warm and unexpected, but we will take it. And have a look at this. Denny Hamlin will take the points that he's grabbed today, Jeff.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys in the playoffs have earned stage points today, but 3 have not. William Byron, Austin Cindric, and also the 45 of Tyler Reddick. No stage points.
And Tyler needed them big time. The day started so promisingly, but some pit road hiccups, unfortunately, have put him in a tough position. Speaking of pit road, it is open. Here we go, Dave Burns.
4th place for Chase Elliott there. You saw the points he's earned on the day. He said it's the best it's been all day, but I still have the same issue. He needs it to live a little bit longer. He said, I've been making it work, but I've been pressing it pretty hard, Kim.
Christopher Bell finishes that stage in the second position. Said, I need a number. We probably should keep it on the free side, though, for this next run. They'll put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on it after an air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Kyle Larson said the balance is not bad. This car is just very traffic sensitive, and honestly, I need to manage my runs a little bit better. Denny Hamlin wanted playoff points today. Well, the 11 team has maxed it out so far. He said we're better on exit, now tight on entry, and that substitute pit crew, they come in with the lead and they hold serve here on pit road.
Last weekend in New Hampshire, we kicked off the round of 12, and boy, what a day it was for Ryan Blaney. We are 2 stages down, 1 to go here in Kansas, and next week in Charlotte, the Queen City, it's the highly unpredictable Roval. Kansas Speedway, the spot for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs presented by Valvoline to continue. And what's it like? What's it like being a driver in the playoffs, and what do they think about their chances?
This is our year because it's the strongest we've ever been.
From a speed standpoint, we've been as good as anybody.
If we execute, we can do it.
Pretty much had everything go wrong, and it hasn't phased us yet.
I feel like we're even stronger than what we've been in 23 and 24.
We're battle tested and better than what we were when we were winning races.
Am I, a favorite? No. Do I think I have the tools and the experience? For sure.
Did we manage it the best or not?
Just the gains and the improvements I think we've made in the last 12 months.
You got to be willing to go out there and grab it. So if we want it to be our year, we better go grab it.
Interesting to hear those sound bites back to back to back like that, isn't it? Just their thoughts, their feelings, their honesty.
You work a lifetime to be in a position to win a championship, and you know that you're going to have to be better than you were even when you were really good in the regular season. You're going to have to be better because everybody steps it up. Joe Logano said it well. You're going to have to go take it.
Go get it, yeah.
No one's going to give it to you.
All right, Mr. Burton, you're Denny Hamlin. You're in control of this race. When it's time for the choose, where are you going?
They've been to the bottom the whole day. Like, the bottom has been the way to go, which is a little unusual for a mile and a half. It seems like most mile and a halves people pick the top. but so far the bottom has worked well.
Talk about counting every point. The 11 of Denny Hamlin on his radio was asking what the fastest lap of the race was. The Xfinity fastest lap currently held by Denny Hamlin. Lap 2 at a 30:57. I think, Jeff, you talked about how the track kind of gets better. I think Hamlin's thinking front row start. It won't be on the restart, but come around the first full speed lap would have a chance if he was free and clear on these new tires, Dave.
And Steve, coming into the day, the 24 William Byron was second on the playoff grid, 47 points ahead of the cut line, but they've not had a good day. So they lingered on pit road. Rudy told his driver that they have lowered the front end of the car and took a little bit out of the left rear. So Steve, what are you looking to do to the 24 here?
Well, one thing that really changes the balance of these cars aero-wise is the front height. And the only way to do that is to take the front tires off and adjust the shocks yourself to raise or lower the car. So I would imagine it's a major platform shift that they're looking for the 24. So take the time to do it now. We saw the 6 of Brad Keselowski fight and fight and fight for the free pass. Well, then they unfortunately fueled a second time, which you cannot do if you're the free pass. We've had some fuel mileage races kind of fall into the free pass position. So that rule has been around for now years, 6, 7, 8 years. It's not a new rule. You need to know it. The 6 is going to have to pull over and basically give NASCAR back a lap.
That is just a unexcusable penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, mental mistake.
All day long, it's been Joe Gibbs Racing versus Hendrick Motorsports. It's that story, that situation, that scenario again. Stage 3 is underway here in Kansas. Hamlin has been the leader of this race for 100 laps. Is it Denny's day?
He has to contend with the 9 of Chase Elliott, who is not going to allow the 11 to get clear. And the 9 also has a big push from Bell. The 11 defends the 19. I think the 9's in position right here.
Kyle Larson right in the middle. Bubba Wallace down low. Here comes Chastain up high, trying to go around Chris Buescher. Logano's on the low side. Reddick jumped down on the apron. Look at the 45. He wants to be back in the conversation like he was in the opening phase of the first stage.
He picked up five positions on this restart already.
The 9 already kind of being defensive, running a lane off the wall. The 11 climb to try to get some clean air. Mentioned it, Jeff. The bottom has been kind of the preferred line on the restart, but that looked more like a normal Kansas restart, right? And the top was able to pin the bottom down. Now the 11 goes up the hill, loses momentum. Here comes the 20 of Bell.
The 20 of Bell went to the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2 and just wrapped the right line like an old school corner, and it worked. And now he has cleared Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's going to come back to him. Bell with the block. Now Denny's going to get to the outside. Let's see if Bell can make the inside work again. He didn't go all the way to the bottom. There he goes. But he didn't enter as low as he did when he made it work before.
Side by side with his teammate. Down the back stretch to 3. And Hamlin has cleared him.
Now immediately a little bit of a guessing game. Bell kind of paused just a second. Saw where the 11 was going. He went to the opposite position.
A win earlier this year at his home race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Boy, what a day that was for Chase Elliott. And for all NASCAR fans in the Peach State of Georgia. Imagine if he can win here today and put himself straight through to the round of 8.
That last entrance to turn 3 was a masterful job of Chase Elliott by not doing anything first. He kind of drove in no man's land and made the 11 kind of pick a lane and then defended and slid up in front of him. I think the 11 was hoping to see the 9 commit first. Now he's far enough back. I think the 9 has to commit first. That lets the 11 go to middle of the racetrack, which unfortunately, though, gives the top lane for Bell. Bubba Wallace and Briscoe, man, they are tight.
Let's take a look at today's lap leaders, brought to you by Safelight. And I mentioned earlier about Hamlin leading triple digits, 100 against Bell's 38th and Briscoe 19. The JGR teammates dominating today.
Starting to see the bottom of 1 and 2 produce some good lap times. You start to wonder if the top's starting to get rubbered up a little bit. Maybe not quite as much grip. Bell right there went to the bottom in 3 and 4. Also, a newer tire, Steve. Sometimes just a shorter way around the racetrack is faster. As tires wear out and lose grip, you start to use more racetrack. See right there, Denny Hamlin just on the bottom. Did not work for him on corner exit.
Let's take a look at Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger. This was several laps ago.
Hey, you talking about a block. That was a huge block.
And then 2 laps later, after Allmendinger was ahead of Gibbs, kind of returned the favor.
It's chaos back there. It is so aggressive.
Well, this second visit this year to Kansas Speedway has given us everything we were hoping for, that's for sure. Lots of different leaders, good racing, and good racing right through the field. Multiple lines, beautiful day. Here's the man who started the day on the pole position in his Toyota. Chase Briscoe runs 5th, sits 20 points above the cut line for the playoffs. Here's Marty.
Yeah, Lee, don't count out Chase Briscoe yet. They have made the car slowly a little bit better. They struggle on fire-off, but so good on the long run. And talking to Chase this weekend, he said, you have to realize my time in this 19 car, haven't had very many tracks where I've gone back for the second time. This is one of those places looking to back up a top 5 in the spring with another top 5 today, Kim.
Yeah, and as we look at Tyler Reddick's day, I'm sure the team will look at some of the glaring mistakes, but on the flip side, a lot to be proud of. Reddick has moved into the 8th position after multiple hiccups on pit road as Denny Hamlin implores Chase Elliott there for the lead. But right now, Tyler Reddick making the most of his day after early issues.
This is good stuff, Kim, at the front. Look at these guys, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin. 84 laps to go in this Hollywood Casino 400. And any of this lead group, you wouldn't be surprised for any of them to get victory, whether it's Elliott or Hamlin or Bell or Briscoe or Larson, or even Bubba Wallace, who's improved dramatically from those early issues.
With 84 to go, a pit stop still required. And to your point, Diff, I think that is going to be an absolute moment in this final run. Not only the pit stop, but Jeff pointed out earlier about getting to pit road, pit crew performance, and what lap. If you pit 1 lap before your competitors, you are going to pass them with a fresher tire. It's just what's too early. We normally see guys pit somewhere between lap 215 and 220. So we still got, I don't know, about 30 laps from here.
I don't think we've given it enough credit to Chris Buescher just yet. The RFK racer is in 7th position, ahead of Tyler Reddick, just behind Kyle Larson. Been a good run. There he is right there in the orange 17.
Saw Denny Hamlin right to the rear bumper of Chase Elliott. Watch this, enters, this is a lap before. Good forward momentum. Watch what happens on corner exit. He starts getting up the corner and gets super tight right there. Has to come out of the gas. And look at the 9 car drive away from him. That was a half a second slower that lap when Denny Hamlin had to have that lift. Now he's starting to run him back down.
Tyler Reddick's in a much improved position in this 3rd stage. How far forward can he go? 7 years ago, this man drove to victory lane. Chase Elliott at Kansas Speedway. Can he do it again today to lock himself into the round of 8? 19 laps led so far today for the driver of the 9, the KellyBlueBook.com Chevy for Hendrick Motorsports. And Steve, you alluded to it earlier. Qualifying means so much these days. And this guy and Alan Gustafson and the team, they've had to dig themselves out of in the teens and sometimes the 20s and just low qualifying positions. Well, today, after a good qualifying yesterday, has been more of where Chase Elliott fans want to see him, at the front of this pack. So with 75 to go, let's have a look at the ones to watch presented by Credit One Bank. And for me, it's this US Air Force Toyota Camry of Bubba Wallace. He has won here before at Kansas Speedway, but finished 17th or worse in the last 4 races here. Remember how the first stage started? He went from in the top 10 way back to 18th. It's been quite the comeback.
I've been watching Tyler Reddick. It's not been the day that he's wanted. A lot of trouble on pit road, slow pit stops. Almost had a collision also, but now he's worked himself up to 8th place. Can he find a way to get the caution at the right time, make an improvement to the car, and put himself in position to win this race? He, I think, is going to need a win if he's going to advance in these playoffs.
Well, the 24 of William Byron had a great week in New Hampshire a week ago. 3rd in both stages, 3rd in the race. He came in 47 points above the cut line, currently running 26. And where he currently stands, he's lost half of his points with an ill-handling race car. Let's listen in.
I don't know why it just does what it does. I know, just keep fighting here. We clearly are missing something bad.
So the frustration on the radio of the 24 as the battle for the lead heats up. Can the 24 right the ship and save some points before the Roval?
Here comes Denny Hamlin, top box. This is for the lead of the race, and he's through. But watch Elliott as Denny slides up right in front of him. Coming off turn 4. The 11 is back out in front.
And Denny Hamlin is just so impressive. We see it every week. 44 years old. Maybe the best version of Denny Hamlin we've ever seen.
And yesterday, he said he feels it is possible for JGR to close the gap on Team Penske at Phoenix, because everybody's talking about once we get to Phoenix, is it kind of just a runaway? You almost got to give it to the Team Penske drivers. We got to get to Phoenix first, all right? And as you said in Countdown to Green, Phoenix is a long way away just yet.
A long way away, and the checker flag of this race is a long way away at 70 laps. If you're Denny Hamlin right here, your goal is to put some laps together to take the pressure off from the green flag pit stop. Allow your crew chief not to be so perfect on what lap you come. Allow that pit crew with a couple replaced members to just little less pressure. You know, it's like field goal kicking. I'd much rather have to make a 40 than a 50-yarder. It's an easier project. Well, right now, for Denny Hamlin, he's trying to give his pit crew that same effect, right? Give them a little cushion so everything's not on the line.
We just saw the 21 car come down pit road. He made contact with the wall, so he had to pit a little bit earlier than they wanted to.
Let's talk about some non-playoff drivers. And Marty, the highest placed non-playoff driver is Chris Buescher.
Yeah, Lee, good call to give Chris Buescher a shout out a little bit earlier. Sitting in 7th right now. They've been pretty quick on the end of this run as well. And this team has certainly got some terrific momentum going. They finished 11th or better in 5 of the last 7 races. And when I talked to Buescher about that, he said, yeah, that's nice, but it didn't get us what we wanted, which was to make the playoffs. They missed it by 31 points, but they've been impressive here late in the year, Dave.
Marty, we talked to Carson Hocevar yesterday after qualifying when he qualified in the 6th position. Are you ready to make some noise in these playoffs? He goes, yeah, I have a lot less to lose than all those other guys in the playoffs, so I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to do what I need to do. The only question becomes then when you're racing a guy who is also in your same position. And Kim, earlier today, that was Zane Smith in the 38. They put on quite a show.
Yeah, and Zane Smith currently running in the 16th position, been flirting with that top 15, and although it's been a solid day, think they will walk away a little bit disappointed. That's because this is arguably Zane's favorite track on the circuit. In fact, earlier this year at Kansas in the spring, he said, I had the best car of the year here. We we're going to have a top 10 car here today, but right now the balance has just gone too tight. That car is plowing, and he can't do what he wants with it.
Christopher Bell has eased his way past Chase Elliott and in second and in pursuit of his teammates. So this is like the close of the second stage.
Chase Elliott's fallen off a fair amount the last several laps. He has been much slower than the 11 and the 20, and also Bubba Wallace behind him is running him down.
Dave Burns, tell us more about Elliott.
We need the driver, the crew chief, up here to do a little bit of analysis with this. Earlier in the race, the right rear was proppy. He called it P-R-O-P-P-Y, proppy, and then complained about the rear a little bit later on. He just said on the radio after he got passed for the lead, I was as easy as I could be on it. And after he had the lead, he was unable to hold off Hamlin. So, driver, what's going on there? He's trying to preserve that right rear, isn't he?
Sounds like it. These guys right here, they're going at it. You saw the 21 on new tires go flying by him. I think when he's talking about the right rear, it just doesn't have grip. Like it's leaning, the car is working the right rear too much. So what he was saying is, I tried to save the right rear. I tried to not run it 100% to make sure that I could be fast at the end of the long run, but it didn't do it. He still ended up getting on the right rear, and now it's lost speed.
1 second between the teammates at the front of this race. .59 laps to go in the Hollywood Casino 400. Denny Hamlin out in front by less than a second. His teammate Christopher Bell second, and then Bubba Wallace has moved his way into third. Tell us more, Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, let's talk about his crew chief, Charles Denike. You know, this is his first year as a Cup crew chief, first Cup playoffs. He's done truck playoffs, but this is a totally different ball game. He told me everything's amplified, the competition, the stage, the emotions, but he is no stranger to pressure. Racing is actually Denike's second career. Before NASCAR, he was a Bronze Star Medal recipient, engineer officer in the U.S. Army. And after 9 years in the Army, Denike decided he wanted to give racing a go. Now, he did grow up next to a family who raced short tracks, including against one of his now bosses, Denny Hamlin. So the move wasn't random. He started on the K&N Pro Series tour and then worked his way up through the ranks, spent time in the Truck Series before moving to Bubba's crew chief this year. He was winning races while flying under the radar, and guys, I think we can agree he is very much in the spotlight right now.
Absolutely, and if today doesn't just prove it, right? This 23 car, as the 44 spins, this might bring the yellow out. Let's see what he does in the grass. Oh, I would thought we were going to see some green flag cycles, not so much as the 44 brings the yellow out with a slow spin through. But what I was saying about Denike and Bubba Wallace, just remember how vocal Bubba was at the beginning, and for good reason. That car wouldn't run inside the top 10. Now here he is, third with great speed.
I think there's two examples. JJ Yaley, let's have a look at what happens, then we'll talk more about Bubba Wallace. Keep your eye on the 44. Ross Chastain is on his inside. Carson Hocevar coming through as well. Oh.
Yeah. He just didn't want to lift. He tried to turn left, ends up catching the 44 in the rear bumper.
There's contact right there. Won't be happy with that.
I mentioned the pit cycle. One car had come to pit road. It was Ty Gibbs. We'll see where he scores and if he's the free pass or not. We'll have to wait for NASCAR to tell us who exactly is going to get awarded the free pass.
Well, JJ Yaley did not want this caution, but I'm going to tell you who did is William Byron.
Yeah.
He is struggling. We've covered it, but he was 24th. There's only one car between him and the leader from going a lap down, so he needed this caution, and he got it.
And remember all that pressure that Denny Hamlin could take off his pit crew by having a big gap. Erase all of that. Now it's toe-to-toe, down pit road, 4 tires for everyone. You hope you don't need to make adjustments because as fast as these pit stops are, any wrench in the rear window does slow down a pit stop. You ask that tire carrier to do a lot of work on a pit stop. You hope you can just do it with air pressure. And they are all lined up. First goal, no penalty, no loose wheels. You cannot go to the back of the field with 25. There'll be 26 cars on the lead lap. So how fast do you go? How hard do you go? Because remember, a win is an automatic advancement.
It hasn't been a great day on pit road for the 20 car. See if they can clean it up and have a good stop here. Bubba Wallace, his pit crew ranks 3rd on the year. He's coming in 3rd. But Chase Elliott has the best pit crew throughout the year. He'll be pitting 4th.
For all the pit stop practice that happens at the respective shops midweek, it is such a pressure cooker situation for these crew members on weekends when they have to perform. And it's split-second precision and the pressure's on. They practice at the respective shops, but you don't get to practice in this pressure cooker situation. And it's the ultimate form of pressure where, and it underscores, Jeff, you're constantly saying this, that it's a team sport, right? And that's, so much comes down to the stops. And for those crew people, they're incredible.
It does, and obviously the pit crew is extremely important, but the driver's got to do his job too. He's got to get the car in the box at the right space, at the right speed. If the driver doesn't do all that right, it throws the timing off of everybody.
Here they come. Dave, pit road is coming alive.
And even crew chiefs play. Alan Gustafson will roll out the right, left rear. So Chase needed something to hang on a little bit better and not abuse that right rear. That was the adjustment they made with there, Kim.
Top right, Bubba Wallace. My lateral grip has gone away. Needs some longevity. Then bottom left, Christopher Bell said, I'm really close. Can't trust the back, but he told his crew chief, Adam Stevens, do not tighten it up too much, Marty.
Denny Hamlin told Chris Gale, I probably pushed too much early in that run trying to catch the 9. I lost some right front grip at the end of that run. They'll win the race off pit road. Remember we talked, Lee, about him having the throttle sticking earlier, that issue? Now he says I have a steering issue as well in the 11. That was sticking under this caution.
Phenomenal stop by the 23 team. Bubba Wallace was able to leapfrog and slots in behind this guy. Denny Hamlin remains out front. If you're anywhere close to Charlotte, North Carolina, we look forward to seeing you next weekend for the Roval. It is chaos guaranteed. Going to be a fun weekend, but on the business side of things, it's a cut race. And it's a full weekend with the 3 series there, Craftsman Trucks, Xfinity, Cup race here on USA next Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. There is a pretty major story about the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Tell us more, Marty.
Yeah, we talked about the steering issue, Lee. It's gotten worse. Listen to the radio just moments ago.
Yeah, if I try to swerve, if I turn to the right, it goes click, click. I'm so paranoid it's going to break something. I think it's broke.
Denny Hamlin says the power steering is gone on the 11. I go back to Steve, what Denny told me earlier this week. We've had such a great car here over the years at Kansas. We have had multiple mechanical issues. They had one in the spring. They've had 2 today. Would this cost Hamlin the win if the power steering is not working? He just told Chris Gale, I don't know what to do. Gale said, nothing I can do to help you for now.
Yeah, I mean, rack and pinion steering, once the hydraulic assist goes out, you're dead in the water. You are not going to be able to drive it like a standard steering box of days of old. So we'll have to just see if the 11 literally has no power steering or if it's just a little bit tough. Let's take a look at 45 of Reddick. Bang. A couple big shots into the rear bumper of the 17. We'll have to see if there's any damage to the nose.
The trouble that Denny Hamlin has is he's leading this race. And he is starting on the front row. What happens when he drives into the corner into turn 1 at full speed?
And Bubba Wallace is going to be on his outside. His teammate Christopher Bell's right behind, ready to get this going. After a caution, back to racing. 52 laps to go here in Kansas. How bad is this situation for Hamlin? How well can he manage it? Big crash into turn 1.
Caution, caution, caution.
Caution's back out.
Logano's involved.
Cindric, Gragson, Hocevar, Stenhouse Jr., and there's Logano, as Jeff said.
You get the right rear of the wall, get tangent the left rear a little bit. Shouldn't be that bad.
And AJ Allmendinger.
Several of these guys are having really good days.
What happened? Let's find out.
Mid-pack. They all just get stacked up. Noah Gragson in that green and white 4-car was the first one to kind of change lanes, but it was because of the stack up.
They were just ping-ponging off each other. Gragson got into Logano, went the other way, got into Cindric. Cindric then got into his own teammate. Here's the view from Riley Herbst.
Up on the back. Top of 4, stay in it. Coming up to you, coming up to you. Just stay in the wall, stay up to the wall, stay up to the wall.
This is Cindric's view.
Now let's look above. That row 8, it's where it all starts. I just feel like the timing got messed up, Steve. They left the restart zone. Somebody didn't get going as quickly as anticipated, and they all started kind of just banging into each other. Here's another shot.
Yeah, somewhere around the 88, 38, that row kind of gets checked up, and then the pushing and the shoving, they get misaligned.
This is Gragson. Tell us more about Cindric, Dave.
The car's very wounded. You saw the ping-ponging that he was doing off of everyone there on the front straightaway. Said the biggest issue is that I do not have power steering. Obviously, the several ways you can lose power steering. Contact is another one of those. So they'll try to patch up what they can here and see if it is rollable. But without power steering and a lot of other things, Kim.
Yeah, and Ross Chastain did not get out of that incident damage-free. Does have damage along the right side, not enough to bring him down. They just came on the radio and said, pit lane's open, we are staying out, but just something to keep an eye on for the one car of Chastain.
Yeah, I mean, it's really surprising this doesn't happen on more restarts. Just as hard as everybody pushes and shoves. As pit road being open, I'm kind of waiting to see what the 11 does. Remember, we had all those radios about no real power steering. Unless you think you're missing a power steering belt or fluid would be the issue, I think that's the only reason you would come down pit road. I mean, no other real mechanical things can be repaired in any sort of reasonable amount of time. With 49 to go, I think the 11's just going to have to ride it out.
Didn't actually see Austin Dillon in all of those replays, but clearly his car is heavily damaged. One more look at the chaos. It was wild.
All right, we just saw a big pileup into turn one. This wreck started at the front of the pack. Watch Denny Hamlin. He goes, a lot of misjudging of the pace. Then the 11 did not go the pace they wanted. Look at the space between the 1 and the 45. Now look behind them. Everybody's coming at a much higher rate of speed, nowhere to go. Bumper tag starts, and then they ended up making contact. But that wreck started at the very front of the pack. It's no different than on an interstate. Something happens in front of you, then a quarter mile back's where the wreck happens. That's exactly what happened here.
Playoff drivers involved in terms of Austin Cindric and Joey Logano. Ross Chastain, maybe he got away with it. Speaking of Joey Logano, he's going to have a penalty. Too fast, leaving pit road.
All right, so now Denny Hamlin, once again, he has a decision to make, Marty, on how he handles this situation.
Yeah, not really a word from Denny Hamlin other than what could I do? So Chris Gale and Brandon Griffith, the car chief, kind of went over what they could possibly do. They cycled the car. That was Gale's suggestion. Just cycle the car for me, see if that fixes anything. Denny Hamlin said, I did. It didn't fix anything and did confirm I have zero power steering. The last restart worked out pretty well. Can this one work out? But with 48 to go and having the dominant car today, Steve, no shot they would bring him back down pit road to get it fixed.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't pit from the front row. I can't imagine he'll be able to keep the position. As I was mentioning, this is a rack and pinion, so this big silver item right here, that's basically the steering component. You see the hydraulic line, so unless it's a hydraulic leak, normally it's this component that kind of gives up. It has a bunch of different functions. It has some drives and some gears in there. So either he's lost hydraulic assist or the system itself is breaking. I believe it's a hydraulic assist issue because if the part fails, normally the driver doesn't even really have control. We've seen that at Bristol and some other places. I feel it just doesn't have the hydraulic assist. And Jeff, unlike a steering box like an Xfinity or truck that are hard to steer, these are nearly impossible, just the way the mechanics work of a rack and pinion.
We got a little bit of practice on what it's going to feel like into turn 1 on that last restart.
46 laps to go here in Kansas, and Denny Hamlin leads the field of green. He's flanked by his teammate in Christopher Bell. What's it like in turn 1? Again, had a rehearsal before. Here goes Chase Briscoe around on that high side, up near the fence. It's 3 JGR Toyotas at the front of the pack, but Elliott on the inside. Wallace is stuck in the middle there. The teammates, they brushed on entrance to turn 3.
So far, fine for Denny Hamlin.
And if you're a Tyler Reddick fan, you are loving the sight of that 45 back towards the front. This is where he was in stage 1, running 5th, and still got a chance to stay alive in the playoffs. That Bass Pro Shops Toyota, the 19 of Chase Briscoe, goes the low side on Bubba Wallace to successfully make it 3 JGR Toyotas in the top 3 positions. But Bubba says, not just yet. I'm not willing to relinquish that top 3 spot. I am still in this, and I can still win this and lock myself into the round of 8.
Whoa, contact. Briscoe into the wall.
Reddick getting defensive there from Kyle Larson. Behind them, Ross Chastain, Zane Smith, Chris Buescher. Let's have another look at that Briscoe moment.
Yeah, Briscoe up the racetrack. Bubba Wallace washing up the racetrack. Briscoe just contact. Bubba did nothing wrong there. Briscoe just using a little too much track. I think he's okay though, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think the damage is too heavy. I think when that 23 gets close to the left rear, it kind of gives that 19 a little bit tight right there. Fast lap of the race just run by Denny Hamlin. Bell and Briscoe all kind of filled in there. Denny's currently the fastest. If he has no power steering, then this is amazing to me. I'm wondering if it hasn't come back a little bit, or if just maybe he's somehow finding a way to muscle it around there, but continues to lead the field. Oh, the 48 of Bowman, he has also had steering issues today.
Yeah, there was some contact at the back of the pack, mid-pack.
Looks like he's going to get to pit road without it being a yellow.
Here's what's happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was in a bad spot. He was on the outside.
Yep.
With nowhere to go.
That's Shane Van Gisbergen in the 88.
But I feel like William Byron got SVG kind of up the racetrack there. William's been struggling with his car. See right there? William was kind of pushing SVG up the track, and unfortunately for Bowman, he was in the wrong place.
What a change of fortune, though. Byron all the way up to 13th with an ill-handling race car with Logano in that accident. He's all the way down to the cut line at only 9 above.
Go back to the front. You know, the power steering may not be completely out, Steve.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just unpredictable. And when that could become a factor is as tires start to wear out. And you got to start putting wheel into the car, driving it like it's loose, having to be quick with the steering wheel. At that point, it may become more of an issue.
And if it is a hydraulic assist issue, Marty, under low RPM like a restart or pit road, it could have no power steering. But then when you get up to speed and the car has higher RPM, some assist may come back.
That's a terrific point, Steve. And I just asked Chris Gale a moment ago, there's battles all over the racetrack. I said, do you think it came back a little bit once he's up to speed? He said, I have no idea. Denny has not said a word. This team has fingers crossed, hoping they can get it to the end here.
Yeah, so there's a power steering pump that's driven by a belt, and you can imagine higher engine RPM spins the pump faster. So, you know, there's a million things it can be. All I know is regardless of what's going on, the 11 has a 0.6 of a second lead over the 20. If you're a Hamlin fan, cross your fingers and hope the steering holds out. If you're a Bell fan, you have a glimmer of hope that maybe the 11 will have more of an issue. And I will say, if he has any sort of steering issues as tire wear, Jeff, I would think it'd get harder and harder, right? When you need to have more and more feel.
That's the worst time when you lose power steering, is when the car starts driving poorly.
Good racing all over the place. That bottom right box with Chastain and Buescher and Zane Smith running in 10th. Great day for him. Denny Hamlin in the Sport Clips Toyota Camry leads this NASCAR playoffs run here in Kansas, presented by Valvoline. It's got just over 1 second lead over Christopher Bell. While we're in the break, a couple of things occurred. Let's show you some replays. Kyle Busch first up in the Cheddar's Chevrolet for RCR. He's up in the fence, but he is not the only one. Here's a different look at it.
He downshifted. he was in the wall for so long. He downshifted to get some more speed going.
I said he wasn't the only one. The other one, Steve, Kyle Larson.
Yeah, trying to just rim ride, trying to keep that momentum. And, you know, we've seen this before where the wall kind of pulls you in after you make initial contact. Now look how long the 5 is riding against the wall. Does a nice job of getting off from it. No word on the radio about any vibrations or damage, and he has yet to come to pit road. So Larson, who was 7th when he made contact with the wall, currently running 8th.
That was Denny Hamlin. That was Denny Hamlin a moment ago, Steve. He said, I don't know how much longer I can hold it. That's what Hamlin said. 29 to go. He's hanging on for all he can. He's been the dominant car today. Kansas has snake bitten this 11 team so many times over the year. This could be a pivotal moment in the championship hopes for Denny Hamlin.
So obviously some sort of mechanical issue with the steering still exists after that radio. Whether he has none or some, it is absolutely not 100%. So we're just going to have to see if the 11 can somehow muster enough strength to make it happen behind the wheel and see if the issue gets any worse.
Jeff, what's that like for a driver?
Well, first of all, he's run the fastest lap with no power steering. But what you heard him say is, I don't know how much longer I can hold on. So, you know, he is obviously able to do it, but can you do it for 28 more laps? Physically, is it possible for Denny Hamlin to do it? This is where all the time spent in the gym, all the time spent training, all of that comes into play right here. But there are times when it doesn't matter. Like if this were happening at Bristol, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You physically can't do it. But this, at a 1.5 mile racetrack, doesn't have the loading of a racetrack like Bristol, so that allows him an opportunity.
Come back straight when you can.
And look, while the win would be amazing, you know, there's still 23 cars in the lead lap. So you look at Denny Hamlin, it says advanced as the leader, but he basically is tied with Larson in points. Marty.
I want to translate what all's going on. Chris Lambert told Denny Hamlin, I thought it was a brilliant piece of advice from a veteran spotter, Jeff. He said, do me a favor, wiggle your fingers down each front stretch, down the front stretch and the back stretch. And that was Denny Hamlin saying back, I'm trying. Just something to kind of keep the circulation going for Denny Hamlin in his arms, because clearly he's fighting it right now.
Yeah, and sometimes you could even take, you know, down the straight, the back straightaway, probably not the front. You take one hand off of the wheel, right? Stretch out your arm, stretch out your hand. Then the next lap, take the other one off, stretch out your hand, stretch out your arm. So whatever you can do. The pace is coming off of this 11 car the last few laps. The 20 has been about 1/10 of a second quicker.
Bottom box, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, Ross Chastain. You're talking about 11th, 12th, and 13th. And while 13th doesn't sound sporty for William Byron, that's a lot better than where he was earlier in this race. He was in the 20s. He was 23rd, 24th. So they've made some changes that have worked. Tell us more, Kim.
Yeah, and you see Ross Chastain battling for that 11th position. Currently, as they run -12, that's where they came into the cut line today. And regardless of what they did today, the points they gained, crew chief Phil Surgeon said the Roval is not going to be an easy point stage-wise. Short of a win, we are not comfortable. Well, a win is outside their window here today. Max points was priority 2. They did that in stage 1 and stage 2, earning stage points. They've lost some track position, though, Dave. Right now, lost the turn in the car. The right front is not good, is what Ross is reporting.
Kim Lee said it, making it work for the 24. Just imagine if he had been involved in that wreck. He was not. 11 cars were, so there were 11 more spots that he was able to move up. He's learned how to drive whatever it is they've made of the 24 here and drive it well enough to stay close to the top 10 now. What a brilliant turnaround.
Let's have a look at an earlier replay. This battle, this 3-car battle, but specifically between Chastain and William Byron.
It's been chippy today. There's been a lot of drivers very aggressive.
This is Kyle Larson trying to fend off Chris Buescher. This is 7th and 8th. 22 laps to go here in Kansas. Denny Hamlin dominated the day. When he crosses the line this time, it will be his 150th lap led today. It's been a remarkable performance for the most successful driver at this racetrack, the 4-time winner. If it becomes 5 in 21 laps time, that will be an incredible drive with the challenges, with the power steering and the exhaustion, the physical exhaustion.
Second oldest driver in the field at 44 years old. A huge physical challenge for him.
He's maintaining about an 0.8 of a second to a 1.1 second lead consistently over his teammate Christopher Bell. But, Steve, there is still a long way to go with 20 laps left.
Yeah, and as I was saying before the update from Marty, you know, a win is absolutely the goal for the 11. But what a day it has been. Winning both stages, earning so many points that I think at this point, while 60 wins has always been his target, and what a way it would be to get it. You mentioned his age, Jeff, of fighting an ill mechanically working race car with the steering. You know, it's been a great day. You just don't want to see the car fail and go in the wall and give up points at this, even if you have to fall back to second, third, or fourth.
If you didn't see that graphic earlier, a 60th win, a career 60th win is on the offer, and he would tie for 10th with Kevin Harvick. Rarefied air in the history of the sport of the NASCAR Cup Series. Bottom box, look at Shane Van Gisbergen, and remember that there was that post-tech infraction. His crew chief, Stephen Doran, was ejected from the event. They got sent to the rear of the field, Jeff, and had to do a drive-through at the end of the first green flag lap, and has just quietly, methodically worked his way up into a legitimate 14th. Make that 13th now as he wrestles with Chastain.
Now remember how well he ran last week also. So this is what you're needing to see from SVG. We know how good he is on road courses. Has to close the gap on these ovals, and he's doing it.
How about we return to that pre-race story of Team Penske? Ryan Blaney, last week's winner. Here he is here in the Menards Ford, who started at the back of the pack and just kept chipping his way away. Unfortunately, he's seen his teammates getting involved in that incident in turn 1, and Cindric is 5 laps down, and Joey Logano is in 23rd. Blaney is flying the flag for Team Penske in 9th. He's already through to the next round, to the round of 8, after that win last weekend. But this has been a very determined drive to just come back through the field. Not easy, Steve.
Not easy at all. And I do believe, to your point, you know, you just can't take a week off. So that determined drive is going to show this team that it has kind of the mental fortitude of what it takes, the toughness to take a backup car and drive up inside the top 10.
We showed you that riding the wall earlier, Marty, with Kyle Larson. He's stabilized now. He's got back by Buescher. He's in 7th. Tell us more.
Yeah, Lee, not a word from Kyle Larson since that brush with the wall. The only transmission on the radio was Cliff Daniels saying, great job saving that, and a caution has come out here with 15 to go.
There's debris on the track.
Oh, yeah. Tire carcass, it looks like, and that's probably from who?
Yeah, we saw him in the wall a little bit ago. So you have to believe that had something to do with this.
Oh, and that tire carcass is the exit of 4, middle of the track.
Yeah, right in the middle of the racetrack. There was no choice. So we saw him in the wall earlier, and then once again in the wall. He's running 19th position. And watch the right rear tire comes out. It comes off. That's just the carcass of the tire, and then it actually goes up and just sits right in the middle of the racetrack. So now, let's go back to Denny Hamlin. So we think that this is easy for him, right? Like, no power steering. We talked about it before. The driver has to do everything just right. He's got to get this car in the pit and out of the pit. And if he misses anything at all, if he misses his marks by a foot or two, that messes up the timing of the team. So fortunately for Denny, he's coming on pit road first. So he's not going to have to make a sharp angle around anybody or anything like that. But getting the car in the pit with no power steering, that's probably the hardest it's going to be as far as the car turning.
Talk about pressure. This final stop coming up, it's on.
pressure on the pit crews at Kansas Speedway. Chase Elliott from 4th position hits first. He needs his team to go back to the adjustments they had the run before. Kim.
Charles Knight making the call for Bubba Wallace. It's right sides only, sounds like, and it is in fact right sides only. Christopher Bell just needs to be a half number rear, also right sides only for him.
Denny Hamlin survived 30 green flag laps, Kim. He gets into a stall cleanly without the power steering. How does he exit? It's pretty good, but they do lose some spots here on pit road, taking the 2 tires for the 11 team.
Lost a bunch of spots. Denny Hamlin goes from the lead back to 6th place. Here's how it went down. He was up against it with that power steering issue.
Oh, problem with the jackman. Remember, a different jackman this week because of the suspended crew members' problems setting the jack. Multiple spots lost. Now no power steering, back in traffic. Issues for the 11 of Denny Hamlin, 2-tire stop. Watch the jackman right here. He's going to go in. If we pause it right there, he misses the jack stop. So now he has to reset as we roll it forward slow. Watch this. He tries. He has to slide it forward. Now he has to let the jack back down. This is taking seconds. The entire pit stop should only take 4. Denny Hamlin, in the end, a 2-tire pit stop that takes, wow, nearly 5 seconds. Everyone else is doing it in 3 and 4 seconds. You see the disappointment on the pit crew's face. They had the body language, they had such a great day. Denny Hamlin now will restart in the 6th position. Remember, no power steering, clean air. They could kind of overcome it. This is going to be an absolute huge battle for the driver back in traffic. Let's listen into the 11.
All right, obviously not great. You battled your butt off so far. We're going to need about 9 more laps of battling, getting whatever you can here.
9 seconds was the 2-tire stop. My data I was looking at was incorrect. 9 seconds when everybody else was doing 4 and 5 second 2-tire stop. I mean, basically he could have took 4 tires in the same amount of time.
And let's give some credit to the 20 team of Christopher Bell, because Jeff, the stop before, it was slow and put Christopher back, and they stepped up and got that Rheem Toyota Camry out first. There have been some penalties. The 12 and the 54 speeding off pit road. Dave?
So the first driver that took 4 tires was Chase Elliott. Here was a pep talk from his crew chief, Alan Guffs. Chase. Here's Alan.
Yeah, you're the first on 4. Just go get him here. No, sir, you're the first one. Think of how fast that 19 was coming a couple years back there on 4.
Now, a couple years ago, 2017, Martin Truex swept the season here at the Kansas Speedway. Maybe that's what he's referring to. 4 tires could work here, guys.
All right, 10 to come in. It's 10 to go. They're going to drop the green flag with 9 to go. Look at what's happened. Tyler Reddick has been in trouble all day long. He has picked the inside. He is right behind Christopher Bell. This is an opportunity. He is going to have to win, I believe, if he's going to make the next round of the playoffs. His teammate, Bubba Wallace, he is pretty far down the point grid as well. Huge opportunities for these 2 drivers.
And after a miserable, miserable day, all of a sudden William Byron is in 5th place. Anything is up for grabs here. Anybody can win this. There's going to be 9 laps to go from here. Let's do it. Bell and Bubba Wallace up front. Zane Smith trying to bulldoze his way through. A little further back. Who's sneaking through on the inside there? Chase Elliott. Elliott as Hamlin was in the middle. Then he moves up. Look at that light blue Kelly Blue Book.com Chevrolet. 4 tires. Here comes the 9. Briscoe's the next one on his list. Bubba's on the outside. Trying to go for that top spot. Reddick's been able to get back by Elliott. It is on for 8 more laps.
Bell cannot clear Bubba Wallace.
The 4-time winner this season up against the Brickyard 400 winner. And the caution's out.
Caution.
Carson Hocevar around.
Now, who is the leader here?
Oh, no caution.
No caution.
Pardon me. Now it flies.
Well, back to your point about who the leader is. It's going to be interesting to see. Let's see what happens to the 77. He's up into the wall. Yeah, maybe just gets a little help from behind. Probably get checked up after hitting the wall. Spit out of lane. Let's see. Yeah. Looked like he was in the wall. The 17 tried to get to his left. At the 77 come off the wall across the bumper of the 17. But then you mentioned it. I thought it was an instant yellow. It was a delayed caution. And then, so we're going to go back to a timing line. It'll see what the running order is, whether it's Bubba Wallace, Bell, Briscoe.
AMR safety team on the scene to help Carson Hocevar, who has had a very good day. Was in the top 10 and just hovering around the top 10, certainly top 15 all day long.
There's a lot going on. The Elliott had a couple good runs with those 4 tires and then got stalled out a couple times.
Bubba Wallace did a great job on the outside to keep the fight to Christopher Bell. The inside lane has worked most of the day, but not that time.
And have a look at that picture there. In the top 4 cars, 2 of them are 2311 Toyotas. The 2 guys who were in the last 2 positions coming into this playoff race, the last 2 positions in the playoff point structure, and needed something special to happen today. And they've given themselves a chance, and this guy and his team, Tyler Reddick and the 45 team, have rallied phenomenally well. He was in the top 5 in stage 1, went as far back as 23rd, and then now he's back in the mix in 4th. He said he really didn't want to go to the Roval needing to do something special. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that yet because he's still got a chance of winning. And now when we complete this, all eyes will be on the Roval next weekend.
The show is the race here on the road.
Every year, there is something that happens in the race that makes it memorable.
Damn it, get it straight, come on, well, it's chicken. I can't believe I just did that. Got in the wall hard. Or jump. Get out of there, jump fire here.
Christopher Bell was meant to win it today.
That's why you never give up, man. We live on, boys. It's all you. Love you, man. Danger's house, baby.
Kyle Larson wins at the Roval.
There you go. Good job, guys. Hell yeah.
You're on fire, man.
You guys get to stay at home next week, huh? Sleep in your own beds.
Oh, what a great race that has turned into. And look at this. Look at the points. Look, Elliott is only 4 points to the good. Byron only 19. That's nowhere near being safe going into the Roval. Look at Briscoe Logano. Joe Logano was in that wreck, and he has fought back, and now he's sitting there running 13th, trying to gain as many points as he possibly can. Remember, the 23 came into this race last in the playoff grid, 27 points behind. Winning this race cures all that, makes New Hampshire go away. He would advance.
And that's all with Bubba Wallace winning, right? Jeff, to your point, if Bell can get by Wallace, the points change completely again, because then Bubba goes all the way back down in the red below the cut line.
It's crazy how every year we see 1 point matter.
Every time.
And we've seen ties, we've seen 1 point.
And think of the day, right? Denny Hamlin's led 160 laps. He's fought the power steering issue. Then he comes down and has a 9.8-second two-tire pit stop, which loses the track position. He actually did a really nice job there, better than I thought he was going to be able to. He's done more with no power steering than any car I remember. In this style car, we've seen no power steering kind of be the end of opportunity. Somehow this 11 car is fighting through the issue, and it's just quite remarkable what they're able to pull off. Kim.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace in that lead position. Remember, the day did not start out great. Didn't like his car, but he has harnessed that frustration from earlier in the race. The team has made the car better. Right now, the biggest concern for Bubba Wallace is the choose and then the restart. Take a listen to the radio.
20's going to use me up. He keeps missing the bottom, keeps just shoving his air up into me. So we got to flip the strip here. I need the 45 behind. I mean, it could flip, but I know that. But that's the perfect scenario.
So we will see how that plays out. Bubba Wallace looking for a perfect scenario here on what could be the final restart. That's a lot to ask, though, Marty.
Kim, imagine being Chase Briscoe, who is the only driver who's finished top 10 in every playoff race so far. They're in a position to do that again today, sitting in third. But a moment ago, we asked James Small on the radio, where do the points stack up? We see that on the left-hand side of the screen. For all the good this 19 team has done, if winds up being Bubba Wallace, the winner today, they are just +1 above the cut line. When that news was delivered to Chase, just silence on the radio, Dave.
Yikes. Okay, William Byron's rebound continues. He runs 9th before they do the choose. And here's why. He was told before the last pit stop that 2 tires would be an option. And with that news, he radioed back, my stuff's good now. Totally different car. So with that knowledge, they gave him the 2 fresh tires only, gained some position there on pit road, and now runs in the top 10. What a day.
Been some crazy turnarounds today. Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick. The list goes on.
No choose that time.
And the caution's been so long because the 77 car, he tried to drive it back, and they ended up having to hook him up and pull him back to the garage. He went to the garage, put tires on it, and then immediately back out to the racetrack.
So we've been telling you for weeks now that this really is Bubba 2.0. Wallace is a new man since becoming a dad and since winning the Brickyard 400. It was a career and life-changing moment on both counts, becoming a dad and winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He doesn't sweat the small stuff anymore. That's what he's told me multiple times. And he just sees things from a bigger perspective. And there's no bigger place than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Can he win here for the second time in 3 years to get himself into the round of 8?
You heard him talking about what he prefers. Best case scenario, he felt like the 20 was going to use him up, take the air away from his car. Doesn't mean wreck him, but just put him in a compromising position. He's going to take the bottom. I think that's the right thing to do. We've seen that work most of the day. That's going to put his teammate right behind him. Now remember, his teammate needs to win. So, yeah, I know teams work well together. We had this big controversy last week with Gibbs. Right?
I was wondering if you were going there.
Yeah, now here we are with 23-11, you know, starting first and third. If you're Tyler Reddick, you got to be on offense.
And then if you're Hamlin, I mean, Chase, you know, Chase is only 4 points to the good. Hamlin only 24 points to the good. The points are crazy with Bubba winning.
It really flips it. Bubba said on the radio, we're going to flip the script here. Well, this would really flip the script.
The deal is that Bubba Wallace, if he leaves the restart zone with the lead, he has a massive advantage. It's all about the launch. What happened on the last restart was that Bubba did a great job of launching with Christopher Bell. Enter turn 1 next to him. Most of the restarts, we've seen the inside line, the leader of the race, he leaves and has an advantage. That is what you've got to do here. You cannot let that 20 car enter turn 1 next to you.
Lights are out on that Toyota GR Supra. You hear the crowd. They know something special's on the line. we have said this many, many laps ago. Any of this front group can win. It's been one of those days. It's been superb here in Kansas, but who has the magic when it counts? Bell gets a good jump.
A push from Reddick, though. A little better draft to help.
Bubba Wallace now edges the front. Toyota's at the front. It's Wallace, Bell, and Briscoe. And then Tyler Reddick. Look at the line chasing here. Larson tried to defend. Wow, they almost come together into 3. Briscoe right up against the fence. Wallace has the inside line.
Contact.
Caution is out. Oh boy, Zane Smith on his side. And over. As they always are, the AMR safety team, they're super speedy as they communicate with Zane Smith. We will have a replay for you, but to just see what happened. Josh Berry is out of his car. Last week's runner-up was involved in that multi-car incident. Eric Jones, or was it John Hunter Nemechek? Can't quite see from here. Also involved. And there we go, that's a good sign. Zane Smith out of the car, communicating with the AMR safety team, and here's how it went down.
Run the red flag because of this wreck. 42. John Hunter Nemechek just drives into the left rear quarter panel with Zane. Zane climbs the wall, gets on the left side, and just rim rides it all the way around. Not sure I've ever seen that before, Steve.
No, it reminds me of Brad Keselowski decades ago at Fontana and Xfinity cars. The only time I remember, and then when it finally gets perpendicular to the asphalt, it catches in. And I can tell you, those look like slow tumbles, but I guarantee inside the car, those are some very hard hits. Scary situation right there. Driver against the asphalt for a long, long time. The 42 got sent back up for a really hard hit. And then right here, these are very, very tough tumbles against the asphalt. And then that one lands, you know, there's no more air in the tires. It lands right on the frame rail.
We saw an Xfinity wreck like this years ago at Bristol. These are, when Nemechek went back across the racetrack, he got into Berry and shot both of them up to the right. Big contacts, big impacts.
Ty Gibbs involved as well. Saw him sideways through turn 4.
Wow.
That one there would have been
just vicious.
Oh, yeah. Violent, noisy.
Unfortunately, the safety systems in these cars, not just the car itself, but the seat. The seat has head surrounds. It limits the movement of your head, so your head cannot get to the left side of the car. Watch this, it's really weird. Like Nemechek just gets in there, just gets into the left rear quarter panel, and then he just climbs the wall. Then Nemechek across the racetrack gets into Josh Berry. I don't know if Nemechek just misjudged the entry speed. Good to see Zane get out.
This will be wild.
Things happen so quickly when they first happen, but this takes forever when you're in that car. This part.
Here's the view from Kyle Busch. So Nemechek tagged Ty Gibbs before he came down and got into Josh Berry as well. And Jeff mentioned it earlier. Pictures tell the story. We're under red flag conditions here in Kansas. And again, if you're just joining us, Zane Smith did get out of the car with the assistance of the AMR safety team and walked away and will be checked at infield medical. We'll squeeze in a quick break here. One more look at it, right of your screen there. Zane Smith on his side, eventually went upside down, a couple of flips, but he is okay. Points as they run right now with Bubba Wallace out in front, but you know there's a high likelihood of things changing when we go back to racing here at Kansas Speedway under red flag conditions at the moment because of a big crash in turn 4, turns 3 and 4. And let's go to some replays leading up to that.
Yeah, on board with Briscoe, who's just barely above the cut line. Remember, he just asked what the point situation was. And watch this right here. He has a huge run up turn 2. Listen to the spotter.
Stretching here. Big room out front if you get to the 20.
Big run out front. Big room out front if you get to the 20. Briscoe has every chance to push his teammate, but Briscoe's thinking he has to win. He has to win, so he swings left. Bubba defends it. Just an interesting small nuance of the 19, as he should, thinking he needs to win this race.
Yeah, he had to win the race. And watch this as we continue on. Watch Bubba Wallace in the 23 car runs Christopher Bell up the racetrack. Bell had to lift or make contact with the wall. Now remember, Christopher Bell has another restart, and that goes in the memory bank. All right, you're willing to shove me out of the line for this spot. That means you giving me a permission slip for me to do what I got to do to win this race.
Hard to believe this 38 car is 3,500 pounds. It goes up, it runs, what, a quarter mile, sliding on the left side door. That's plated. And then right here, it tumbles like a model car. Doesn't even look like it can be real. When it lands, if you look at the left side, though, look how intact it is, even sliding all that distance. Jeff, I can't imagine what Zane Smith is seeing and smelling and thinking as you know, as you said, he's you know, belted in, but what is he, a foot off the asphalt?
Oh,
18,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
like 18 inches from your headrest is the asphalt going by at 100 miles an hour?
Sparks flying, sideways. Like, what in the world is happening?
Just such a visceral experience, like Oak spoke about the noise aspect before.
Yeah, that's a good example right here. So
yeah,
obviously this head surround is part of the seat.
Yeah, so that whole part is connected to the seat.
So if you look where the driver's helmet is, right? This is part of the head surround. That is connected to the seat. There's one on both sides of the driver's head. So you can see that head surround. It's a good 2 inches from the window net at the very back.
I said he was a foot from the asphalt. I don't know. That doesn't look like a foot right there. I'm going to say he's about 6 inches from the asphalt.
So, but that head surround is made out of carbon fiber. It's very, very strong. It does not move. It essentially is very, very stiff. The foam, where you see the Monster Energy logo, that foam, that's the energy absorbing material. It moves. So when the driver makes contact, that foam moves, lets the driver's head absorb some energy, takes the movement away, slows everything down, but the head surround itself, it doesn't move. It is very, very stiff.
And there's actually a rule. So NASCAR has a device they put in here, and they measure the head rest location both laterally and vertically within the car. So they know where it is relative to the window net and some of the bars.
And how far the helmet is from it. There's rules that the closer you can get those head surrounds to the helmet, the better it is, because it limits movement. So there's a rule they have. It has to be a certain distance from that helmet, both left and right. They check it every single week.
Fans here in the stands, here in the Heartland, you heard the round of applause as the cars fire up. We get ready to go into the second phase of overtime. Here's Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, you guys talked what is or isn't expected about teammates between the 20 and the 19. What about the 23-11 teammates? Remember, before the last restart, Bubba Wallace kind of had this perfect scenario with his teammate Tyler Reddick pushing him. What did Bubba think of Reddick's performance during that restart? Take a listen to the radio.
45 has one f***ing job, man. One f***ing job. He sent Nick down to say sorry, won't fuck it up again. But, I mean, God almighty.
So Bubba not happy with his teammate Tyler Reddick. You heard his spotter, Bubba's spotter, Freddie Kraft, say, I'll go talk to Nick. That's Nick Payne. That is Tyler Reddick's spotter. So, Jeff, as you look at this restart, what do you think Bubba wanted that he did not get from Reddick?
Well, look at the 19, right? So the 19 lunges at the 20, but gets the timing wrong. So they get spaced out. The 45 actually does a better job than the 19 does. So the 45 is there. What Bubba's wanting is full contact. He's wanting him to push him. So he launches, the 45 just doesn't sync it up, doesn't time it out correctly. But Bell did a great job on the outside. I don't think you can discount the job that Bell did. That little bit of a shot, without a doubt, helped Christopher Bell. But I'll be honest with you, I disagree with Bubba Wallace. I don't think that Tyler Reddick has one job. I think he's got two jobs.
He wants to win the race himself.
Yes, certainly. There is no question, 23-11, if you're a teammate, needs to win this race. But it's okay for Tyler Reddick to be the one, right? So Tyler Reddick in the position he's in, he can't just say, hey, I can't try to win this race too. But what you don't want to do is do something where both of you don't win this race. Tyler Reddick is in a tough spot.
I can't have that happen again.
That's Bubba Wallace saying, I can't have that happen again. How about this, folks? In the space of 7 days, that has been dominated by the talk about how teammates race each other. Now, in the top 5, you've got 3 teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing and the 2 from 23-11.
So to Jeff's point, I just believe, look, if I was in this 23 team, I'd be reminding Bubba that while we should expect some help from our teammate out of the restart zone, let's not forget that this isn't a team sport. Bubba Wallace wins. It doesn't put both 23-11 cars into the next round. It only puts the car that won. So I'm with you, Jeff. I understand Bubba's frustration, but let's worry about us. Let's not drive expecting help.
The difference between this week and last week is all of these guys are still playoff eligible.
Yes.
All of these guys still have an opportunity to win a championship. Now, look, the other side of this is we don't know what the conversations are at 23-11 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If we get in these situations, this is how we're going to handle that. We're not privy to that information, but I can promise you that the sponsors and the crew members and everybody involved on both of these cars want to be the one that win.
Well, we went under caution and went under red flag because of a very scary crash experienced by Zane Smith. He's with Dave Burns now.
Lee, he's out of the infield care center. What did you just experience, smell, taste, feel?
Yeah, it was a wild ride, no doubt. just, yeah, before I knew it, I mean, I had a decent restart going, and then, yeah, I mean, I just get wrecked by the 42. I mean, it just drives through me. And then, yeah, I was sliding on the wall and was just mad at that point from how our day was going. And then this just pissed me off even more, because that's what really hurt, was just flipping down the track. So, yeah, I mean, violent, no doubt. But, man, such a fast speed you cashed forward today. And just a bummer, you know, right before that caution came out, we were going to have a top 10 day racing up inside the top 10 majority of the day. And it's a shame that it has to come to an end that way. But just shout out to everyone back at FRM for bringing another really good car, especially at a mile and a half. So, yeah, hopefully 5 more. Hopefully we can bring some more good ones.
Glad you're okay. Wild ride after a strong run.
It's good to see that he's okay. We see the choose pretty much exactly the same way that it worked out the last time. All right, so now if you're Tyler Reddick and you want to push Bubba Wallace, and if you're Bubba Wallace and you want to be pushed, what is the communication, right? What do you need to do? Maybe hand out the window a little bit on the left side to let him know when you're gonna go, to give Tyler Reddick a little bit of indication. What I would want is Tyler Reddick on my bumper before I launch, and then give him a signal and let Reddick actually go just a millisecond before I accelerate. But the guys on the outside, they're teammates too, and they're going to be doing the same thing.
Well, in the top 8 all playoff cars, SVG, the highest non-playoff car in the race.
That's pretty wild.
Make sure Bell knows I'm hitting him way harder.
Okay, so one advantage that the inside guys have, if Bubba Wallace puts his hand out the window and says, hey, I'm going, the guys on the outside can't see it. But if you are Tyler Reddick and you see the 20 car, his hand out the window starts motioning, you can see that, and you're going to know when he's leaving.
So it's our second bite at overtime, presented by Credit One Bank. Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell. A couple of Toyotas on that front row. How will they be helped by their teammates, or if at all? Let's have another go at it. Back under green to try and finish off this Hollywood Casino 400. Wallace in front for the time being. Briscoe goes up high like he did a little earlier. It's a drag race down the back stretch towards 3. Bell looks good at the moment. Briscoe goes up high. Hamlin's hugging the low side. Look how close these two are here. And here comes Chase Briscoe. It's the 3 JGR Toyotas. Wallace is still hanging on. Hamlin has come up into second. With those power steering issues, the man who has led 160 laps today still has a chance on this final lap. Briscoe's in the wall. Bubba's hanging on. Here comes Hamlin. Driving that car with no power steering. Bubba's in the wall. He's fighting his bus for this win. Chase Elliott comes through on the inside. Oh my goodness. Chase Elliott. How about that?
Go! Yeah! That's my man!
Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports win in Kansas.
What a race.
What a final lap.
All right, so watch this. The 19 goes to the top, trying to make it 3 wide. Watch Bubba Wallace. He runs up the racetrack, makes contact with Christopher Bell. They both have to lift, and that provides a ton of momentum from behind.
The 19 and the 11 then have the momentum. Look at the 9, though, to the top. Look at this move back to the bottom. The 6 restarted 8th. 4 fresh tires, has better tires than everyone up front, runs the bottom. And at this point, I think it's the 11's race to win.
And remember, Denny Hamlin owns that 23 car. Here he comes. He drives to the bottom. I own that car, but I'm going to win this race. Runs Bubba up the racetrack. Now they're both out of the throttle, and here comes the momentum from behind.
The 11 tries to get down to defend. A door shot by Chase Elliott, not lifting. A drag race to the line. Chase Elliott, second win of the season.
It was a spectacular win in Atlanta earlier this year, and another spectacular win at the hands of the 9. The closing stages. Bubba in the wall. Hamlin thinks he's got it. Elliott says, no, you don't. I'm going through to the round of 8 with a win, my second at Kansas Speedway. Here's what it looked like for the Georgian. Get out of my way.
Wow, that was
I'm going to take this
hit.
victory.
Wow, what a dramatic finish at the Kansas Speedway. I go back to Atlanta earlier this year when Chase Elliott won there, Lee. You mentioned it. He was so aggressive in the final few laps today, and I don't think you can get much more aggressive than Chase Elliott was. NASCAR's most popular driver is into the round of 8 with a dramatic win here at the Kansas Speedway. We wondered if starting up front would be a difference for this race team. They raced in the top 10 all day long, and at the end of the day, an amazing restart for Chase Elliott. When everyone was talking about the Toyota cars, it was Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports that advanced to the round of 8 with some incredible moves in the last half lap. How about that, Kansas race fans? Chase Elliott in victory lane and on to the round of 8. Wow, how?
I don't know, man. Just everything worked out perfect for me. Had a great push through 1 and 2. That kind of all started with the 6. And yeah, big run off of 2. C's kind of parted and just was able to keep my momentum up. You know, that was really it. And obviously we still had pretty good tires, you know, compared to those guys. But what a crazy finish. Hope y'all enjoyed that. I certainly did. Yeah, just really proud of our team. Had a really solid weekend, win or no win. Really nice to, you know, qualify really well, but we'll certainly enjoy this, man. This is pretty cool, you know. Just never take this stuff for granted because they're hard to come by, you know, and learn that the hard way. So always enjoy it, always appreciate it. Thanks to everybody at KBB. What a great partner. Been on board for it's our 10th year together, which is pretty cool. Chevrolet. Everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. Boss, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Glad to be bringing one home.
You said the C's parted, but you kind of had to put a little door to the 11. Were you thinking this is my only shot to make it happen?
Oh, I wasn't going to lift, so I didn't know what was going to happen, but I figured, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it was what it was at that point. We were both wide open corner exit, so wherever I ended up. At that point, we were all committed, so it was yeah, really cool just to be, restart 10th and somehow win it on a green-white checker. It's pretty neat.
Boy, what a different weekend it was this weekend for the 9 team. Alan Gustafson with the call to go with 4 tires. It paid off, and Chase Elliott made it happen at the end of the day, Dave.
Marty, what an amazing day for Denny Hamlin and almost a win there at the end. Denny, how would you describe this day?
It's just super disappointing. Obviously, I wanted it bad. You know, it would have been 60 for me, and you know, team just did an amazing job with the car. Just really, really fast. Gave me everything I needed. Got the restart I needed. Just couldn't finish it there on the last corner. Obviously got really, really tight with the 23, and I just got real tight, and we let the 9 win.
Is it this place? It seems to be a riddle that is tough to solve.
Yeah, it's just mechanical failures and different things have really hindered us in years past. And we had, you know, no power steering that last run and low voltage, just a lot of things, and just couldn't. I just disappointed because I don't think I've ever had a car that good to the competition. Man, I wanted it for my dad. I wanted it for everybody. Just wanted it a little too hard.
Toughed it out best he could today, Kim.
And Bubba Wallace will have to settle for a 5th place finish after being in the lead there to take the final restart. What do you make of how your team owner, Denny Hamlin, raced you there at the end?
Well, to even have a shot at the win with the way we started, I told Post, you could have fooled me because we were not good. We missed it on the fire off speed. So I just really appreciate the team. You know, 2 years ago, I'd probably say something dumb. I mean, he's a dumbass for that move, for sure. I don't care if he's my boss or not. But we're going for the win. I hate that we gave it to Chevrolet there. Toyotas were super fast. and proud to be driving one. I thought it was meant to be, and then it wasn't. And all in all, the positive, though, we were minus 26 coming in. Now we're minus 27 coming in. We're minus 26 leaving. We gained a point.
They gained a point. Maybe a frustration there at the end for Bubba Wallace.
I think we have just a little bit to talk about in the Progressive post-race show. What do you think, fellas?
Let's go.
Can't wait. What an ending. And they will be cheering in Dawsonville, Georgia tonight, because Chase Elliott is victorious and is guaranteed to go through to the round of 8. That was spectacular. That was fun. We had to wait a little bit longer for it, but it was worth the wait. More interviews and breaking down what was a fun afternoon here in Kansas. And that was a win that Chase Elliott will remember for a long time. See you in a moment. Progressive post-race show coming up.
We are the ones at the top of the mountain, climbed all the way up and never looked down. If the road was rough, we might not have found the blood and some guts and thousands of hours. We welcome you now to our arena. If you don't know right now, it's hard to beat us. You can tell by our demeanor how hard we leaning. You will remember when you see it in lights. We are the champions. We are the champions. We will fight through the pain. We'll be legends tonight. We are the champions. We are the champions.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.